And good evening, everybody. It's been a long wait. We're finally here, though. Back again with Valence League Split 3. This is Division 3A action coming out for you guys tonight between Sacramentum and Cerlicei Gaming here. We've got best of 3 for you guys this evening, so should be a fun time ahead. First of all, my name's Rudude, and I'm joined today by a very special guest on the caster desk. We've got Squiggly joining me as my caller for the evening. And how are you feeling coming into this one?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. A little bit of a wait, so we're tuned up. We're ready. Hope to see some good games coming out from both these teams.
Yeah, and obviously before we get into it, just to give a little bit of context here, unfortunately, Gura is an E-sub here on the side of Cerlicei, so they lose all 3 of their first bans. That's why you're going to see them go down very slowly, meaning essentially they don't have a player that could play the first game, or one of the players that was trying to play the first game can't make it, so they had to emergency swap somebody in, and they're going to lose all 3 bans for that purpose. And you can see first one having whittled down, and Zinzao on the other side, though, being removed. So Sacramentum have their choice of bans to begin with, but we obviously are going to wait and see that Cerlicei don't have theirs. And if you're looking at it on the screen here, that's why you'll see that there'll probably be 2-1 and then none after that. It should be a little bit confusing, but all of the bans are from Sacramentum.
Of course. And Zinzao, actually, huge champion this patch. Huge champion this patch. The amount of damage, the amount of actual mobility on him. We seem to be, moving into more of a ganking jungler early playstyle, and therefore Xin Zhao just hits that right on the head. Like, he can farm, he can gank. What can't he do, basically? And then the Samira ban coming out as well.
So AD carry now hitting the pool. A little bit of, we'll say focus across the board right here. And of course, with Gura coming in as a bit of an ESO, a bit of a last minute sort of assessment on what they can maybe look to try and ban away, see if there's anything there that they might want to remove from his champion pool, presuming he's going to be in that AD carry role. And now, obviously, with the final ban down, I have one more as well to come on through. But before we get into this one, this is a first game of the split, right? None of these teams have previously got a record here, potentially, of course, having played in previous splits, but this is the first time out for both of these teams here. Fresh start, fresh set of games, 0-0, and the first pick of the day going to be a Gwen.
Oh, Gwen. So we're going to be looking to actually focus around the top side here, I would imagine. The Gwen, very, very lethal when she gets ahead, especially at this sort of elo. I think, honestly, we could be looking to actually form a team around the Gwen, and then we could have some sort of, drawn out team fights. Hopefully the Conquerors comes out on there, and then we get some we get the Volibear locked in on the side of Sacramentum.
So a little bit of potential early dueling up against the Gwen here. I've seen this pick a couple of times to try and counter the Gwen in what she's looking to achieve, which is pretty much top lane superiority. So with a Volibear who sort of renowned himself for the lane bully potential that he has, also a fairly decent pickup. And as for the second pick here coming through, Sacramentum lock themselves in the Senna here.
We do have Senna on both of those players as well. Both Mako and Couchy both play Senna. So we could see it flexed, ADC, support, and also the Volibear into the top or the jungle. I think both players there play Volibear as well. We're most likely to get some sort of follow-up in the terms of the Udyr or the Rammus, maybe a Hecarim Kayn. Of course, Xin Zhao's banned out, so we won't be seeing that one. But the Senna on the ADC or the support could be looking really cool as the Graves comes in for the side of Cerlicei.
Yeah, so picking up more range here for the squad. First little glimpse of that they've been able to get for themselves. A fairly powerhouse farm-oriented jungle, if I'm not mistaken, and can definitely have impact, post level 6, once he's got one or two items in the inventory. A bit of a machine is Graves.
I think we were actually looking for this duel in the jungle as well. If this is a Volibear jungle, the Graves can actually kite him out here. He works quite a lot like the Kindred in the early game, where you get that kind of kiting potential, and you can actually drag the Volibear out of his comfort zone there with the Graves or the Kindred. And then we get the Jace mid picked up as well, obviously encompassed by the Gwen AP top. We can actually have that AD Jace locked in the mid lane.
So nice diversification here of that damage profile, potentially shoehorning themselves a little bit into the AD route more so than anything else, with just Gwen being the AP source for the time being. That being said, on the other side of it, we do get to see that there's an Anivia lock-in here, so a little bit of long-range potential coming through from this Anivia, and anybody trying to get up close and personal to this Frost Mage in the mid lane will definitely be in a little bit of trouble.
Anivia being able to drag those fights out and seeing that Jace engage there and actually walling him off, it means that we don't actually get to see too much counterplay out of the Jace. Jace doesn't seem to be able to step up. He needs to play that lane very, very long, very, very pokey. And then the Ezreal ban actually coming out from Sacramentum there.
Of course, we are in the second round of bans. Cerlicei have now got their opportunity to start banning away champions here. Akali, a very mainstay on the ban table across all levels of League of Legends play. Quite happy to see it hit the ban table here again. And what you can see is lacking, at the very least, for Cerlicei is an AD carry. And that's why they're targeting the AD carry pool, ladies and gentlemen. Get rid of an Ezreal, get rid of potentially something else fairly scary down in the bot lane, potentially even a support as well. But it is the Kai'Sa to round out the second ban there, and the Shen as well following up.
The Akali and the Shen bans seem to me like they think that this is definitely a Volibear jungle. I wouldn't be quite putting all my eggs in one basket like this if I were their team, but honestly, if they're so interested in this Volibear jungle, I don't think that the Gwen's really worried then. I think that they're maybe thinking, oh, we get somebody a little bit softer in the top lane, maybe somebody not as early game as Volibear, and then Gwen can have their way with them. But, the Malphite lock-in, and that's actually quite good into the Gwen.
Why's that?
So Gwen normally will be stacking up her attack speed, and the Malphite E actually disables attack speed. So I mean, you can kite this Gwen out, and she doesn't get quite as much kill pressure early. The Gwen obviously looking to proc her conquerors, go in with the E. You can get the slow from the Malphite Q, and then the E out, and also Malphite's damage all comes from close range, so that W won't be blocking anything.
So there's me thinking that Malphite versus AP champions, might not still be great for the top laner, but nevertheless, the Gwen going to be taking damage as much as she's trying to dish it on out. The Aphelios locked on in for Gura down in the bot lane, still waiting to see what the support pairing is going to be. And this is going to be somewhat blind here. We don't imagine that there's been a support nor AD carry, one of those two not being locked in here by Sacramentum to begin with. And instead of going for the classic Aphelios Lulu, they opt for something a little more aggressive here.
I would have liked to see the Lulu come out here. All of these champions are very much in the face of the Aphelios, and the lack of peel on this side just worries me just slightly. The Volibear Malphite actually going on that Aphelios when he hasn't got his Gale Force or his Flash Up could be quite worrying. And then the Leona Hover and the actual lock-in coming out mean that they are going hell for leather on this Aphelios.
That's a lot of dive. In case you're not aware, Malphite Leona is fairly lethal, and when you've got the power of Volibear as well to dive over the top of all of that, you can definitely fear for this Aphelios' life cleanse should be taken by Gura as an absolute minimum, especially when there's a lot more CC coming from the rest of the squad. We've got CC coming out of 3 of the 4 champions that you are excluding from Leona, and then Malphite as well has got that big knock-up that you can't cleanse and a little bit of a slow as well. So big value for Gura if he takes it down in that bot lane role here. But quickly, we've got 2 5-man stacks here. Looking at it from the draft perspective, who are you giving the edge?
I'm really giving it to Sacramentum over here. I feel like Cerlicei may have missed the draft on this one, honestly. I feel like the Gwen dueling factor is there, the Graves kiting factor is there, but as soon as the team fights come out, I can't imagine Sacramentum losing this. It seems like a very easy, hard engaged comp to actually pull off, and I feel like it's just too simple for them at this point. The Malphite ult, the Leona roll, the Senna backline, the Anivia wall to peel the Senna. I feel like they've just got it all.
They've got absolutely everything in their arsenal, and they should be able to use that here. So without further ado, we're going to take a little break here, make sure that we get ourselves all synced up on Summoner's Rift. But when we return, we've got game number 1 between Sacramentum and Cerlicei Gaming.
Yeah, buddy.
And welcome back, everybody. After the short break, the short intermission, we are back here on the Valence League here for season number 3. This is Division 3A coming out for you guys tonight between Sacramentum and Cerlicei Gaming, who are coming at you from the blue side, and then Sacramentum on the red for this game number 1. Best of 3 to go. And, we talked about it before in the draft that maybe Cerlicei have got themselves a nice front-to-back team fight to go on in, but I don't want to discount the power of 4 damage champions just yet.
Just Sacramentum all over the face of Aphelios here, though. I don't know if we can really expect him to live very long, but hopefully they get the peel out, and obviously across the board, those dual champions may actually pull through in a kind of solo queue-esque fashion.
Well, at least in this, at least to start off with some solo queue fashion, we've got Senna Leona randomly invading in complete vision of the Jace right here, who is now fully aware, and as are the rest of the squad, that there is some wanderer going into the jungle right here. They get pinged and spotted back out, so they head on back toward their blue side. Both junglers starting off on the top side of the map this time round, potentially going to be seeing some fighting down on that bot lane fairly early on.
I do have to worry about the Cerlicei lack of invade here and the lack of vision that they have. The actual fake leash coming out from Sacramentum on the red side here means that Graves actually has 0 information as to where the Volibear is right now.
So operating under that very false pretense, potentially, that there is a bot or a bot-sided Volibear, it's again sort of mirrored on the other side. There was a little bit of a fake attempt from Gura and Tiago down on that bot side of the map. And, first of all, thank you to Tiago Silva for taking his time out of his very busy schedule as a professional football defender to come and play in, Valence League right here.
I'm very honoured. Very honoured.
Yeah.
So we got a bit of a weird clear coming out from the Volibear here. He seems to have favoured the Krugs over doing the normal 5 camp, and then Graves with the standard clear coming through. He's going to 5 camp this and probably go for the Scuttle on bot side. Over the top side here, though, we see some aggression coming out from the Malphite and Gwen lane.
This is what you said, that the Q was going to be quite powerful, and that is exactly what we see here. Trip just dashing on in there, has the ignite, has the damage, and takes him down.
That is the TP Ignite special there from Gwen. Doesn't need the flash because her dash is up so often that she can just dash in, get those resets, get that continual autoing down, and then bully those champions out very, very early game. I said in the draft that Malphite actually doesn't have too much trouble with this, as a lot of top laners do. But however, if you die in the early game like that, there is honestly a huge chance that the Gwen can just snowball this out of control.
Yeah, and you highlighted that it was Malphite's E that was really big in the factor of this counter, and unfortunately, Organized Crisis simply hadn't skilled it up. Went for the Q, went for the W, and was using those to trade with it, and you can see firsthand quite how powerful this Gwen can be when left unchecked. So, first blood, early advantage going to Cerlicei here. Getting a Gwen off to the race is certainly a tool to be fearful of, but for the time being here, still only first blood, and the gold lead itself still fairly even.
I like this correction in pathing here from the Graves, though. Super Pedro on the side of Cerlicei actually opting for the top crab after clearing downwards, correcting his pathing and avoiding the Volibear completely because Tiago has actually planted that ward on the bot side Scuttle Crab, so we saw Volibear.
Oh, gank on the top side, though. Once again, this time Malphite able to burn the flash and get to safety. So, again, no flash now, no TP, where Trip still has TP advantage over this Malphite. This top lane is pushing away from him as well. This could be devastating.
This is simply an issue on the side of Organized Crisis. I feel like you should be expecting these Scuttle Crab movements. If you do not see the Graves on the bot side, he's going to be on the top side crab. There is no way that junglers, especially with our ego, ever give up a crab.
And you are a jungler, of course, to remind everybody at home. You know exactly how these guys are trying to play out the mindsets, the philosophies that they are trying to foretell this time around. Looking for the gank on the top side definitely went well enough to find a flash. We do see Zenith Blade engaged down on the bot side. That with the Dawning Mist there to get a little bit of a route up onto Nautilus. Comes back for the exhaust just for good measure and blocks a single auto attack out of that one. So maybe not quite the impact that he was looking for, but still a good chunk, and now looking to reset.
We get a decent-ish crash from the red side, but then we do see Gura and Tiago possibly being able to freeze this. The crash didn't come in all the way, and now we've got these casters on the bot side. It looks like they opt not to freeze the lane, but possibly they could have actually completely ruined the lane state there for Sacramentum.
Well, that's obviously not ideal. You don't want your lane states to be absolutely ruined, and currently the mid lane here somewhat held and forcing this Anivia into a fairly awkward position. You can see here that she's got to step up so far in the lane to really get anything, to get any form of minions, any form of CS, XP, whatever it may be. She's simply going to have to overexpose herself. And, you know, Graves and Jace, not the most CC-oriented power duo, but there's still a chance to find that gank. If you are just so far up, Anivia is one of those champions that is incredibly immobile. Now Aphelios caught on the bot side, flash burned, but he's got nothing left here. The heal going to have to come through at some point. Burns it just a little bit too late here and actually doesn't use it at all. Gura goes down. That's another trade kill. Now we see Graves in the jungle. He's going to get taken down. The smite comes through for a little bit of extra health, but that's a little too late. Malphite on the top side. He's going to fall as well. Organized Crisis 5 to 6. Oh, the level lead. Just enough for Strip to find a kill on the top side. All told, it's a 2-for-1 in favor of Sacramentum.
You've got to imagine
still looking good.
There was some sort of communication failure there. Some sort of communication failure on the side of Cerlicei. We saw the Nautilus walk up to the Graves trying to force the dragon there, even skipping Raptors to go for the dragon. And then the Volibear pops that pink ward over the wall and says, "What are you doing, Graves? You can't do this." The Nautilus walks up to kind of counteract that. Aphelios steps forward and we just get this collapse on Aphelios, which just means he's completely out of position.
Similarly again here, looking like he's trying to step up this wave state again, not in a great position at all. And with Glacial Augment, this Senna, if she finds a rogue Q through the minions, finds one single auto attack, then this Aphelios is going to be in a world of trouble right here. I'm surprised he's allowed into experience range, to be honest, without the support of his Nautilus.
We were questioning the decision to push up as Aphelios and to clear those minions, and it looks like Mako and Couchy are actually controlling the wave a lot better, making Aphelios actually have to step up. I would like to see a bit more aggression out of the Leona to push this lead, but honestly, having to step up like that is an awful position for him to be into.
Particularly when he's trying to use Infernum as well. You're only helping you're only helping Sacramentum with their wave state. If you keep on pushing the wave back to them, that is not what you want to be seeing here. But to start off with, 2 for 2 so far. We've got a bit of a bot side supremacy coming through for Sacramentum, top side for Cerlicei here, and they're looking to try and continue that with Super Pedro clearing out one of these control wards. Trip able to secure himself yet another favorable lane state, and you can see that Crisis has to play so deep in his lane that this is just going to be absolutely atrocious for the Malphite for the foreseeable future. And he's built 2 cloth armors.
Trip actually just holding this back here. He has built 2 cloth armors. I can't imagine that goes into anything other than the bramble vest. The issue with building armor into Gwen is obviously that she does AP damage, but you do want the reduced healing. So I don't mind the fact that he's gone into the Bramble Vest. If that is what he chooses to go for, I really hope he does.
Yeah.
However, the Volibear seems to have completely ignored this lane state. If I was the Malphite in this situation, I'd really be calling the Volibear up. We need to break this freeze. We need to actually unlock this lane because Trip can hold this under his turret all day.
It needs to, break this freeze by any way possible here. Now Gura, again, caught up there, this time by Solar Flare. Here comes the second stun to follow up here. Mako rather looking for these shots to come through. And actually, the TP coming down. We cut to mid lane as there is an absolute gank in that Jace's face. He's going to go down. Mako just barely living on the bot side. And Directed Cam knows best as the only kills in the mid lane.
Directed Cam just really stealing us away from the bot lane action there. But honestly, Sacramento coming out on top again as they get that gank, and they have avoided the TP from Gwen. Actually, TP wasted there on the bot side. We do have TP advantage now from Malphite in a couple of seconds, and they could be looking for some across-map plays.
Well, I do see the junglers now brawling here. Super Pedro takes the brunt of the Stormbringer. Second Frenzied Maul takes Pedro to within an inch of his life, and Sneagle gets the kill right there. Volibear showing off in the early stages of this game.
The Volibear just too strong in the early game. Like I said in the draft, we can get that Graves to kite the Volibear out. However, if you get level 6 and you jump on that Graves' face, there's honestly no way he can get away from you unless he has ult up.
It's absolutely devastating to be in the midst of a Volibear ultimate and in the midst of a Volibear here with 3 kills. Now Trip, probably the only member that could have dealt with Sneagle there, does back away, respects the Volibear at least enough to give him a decent enough position in the lane to back away.
See a little lane swap come out.
Exactly, lane swap here between the 2 solos.
I would have liked to see the bot lane, if we were going to see a lane swap, I would have liked to see the Jace go bot side and have the bot lane switch to top as that Rift Herald is the next objective. That would have been beautiful. However, we do see the Jace go top, the Gwen go mid to hopefully abuse the Anivia a bit more than he's been able to abuse the Malphite, and obviously that W working wonders there with nothing affecting the Gwen, just standing in the ulti.
Gwen is immune. Gwen is immune. She's on forward here. Takes the face of a stun, but you can see here that that's 2 Anivia E's coming through, the main chunk of her damage, and about half HP with a Conqueror with the Leeching Leer. Going to be able to heal that up in little to no time at all, and that's without any MR. You can see that the scaling aspect of Anivia definitely very present in that trade.
I do wonder about this lane swap, though. We're swapping a Jace into a Malphite here who has built nothing but armor when the Gwen has gone mid.
You're quite right. I am also wondering. I don't think there's a good explanation for it.
I'm a little worried. I feel like they may be actually taking their lead and kind of completely abandoning it. But hey, we'll see how it works out for them.
Yeah, and obviously this Gwen was their main source of power. The rest of the map really hasn't gone all that well for them. You see that the Aphelios as well down a death. The jungle in particular really looking rough for Super Pedro and the rest of Cerlicei Gaming. They are down bad for sure, and with this dragon most certainly going in their pockets here, that's just an extra lead that Sacramentum are going to be happy to take.
It's just a complete prio on bot side. The Leona roams up, the Anivia pushes in, there's nothing Gwen can do. That dragon is just purely yours. You saw the pings actually come out from Nautilus there, trying to go on the center, abusing the center the same way that they abused the Aphelios earlier on. However, it just doesn't happen. There's Senna knows her place, she knows how to play defensively. And then we see the Rift Herald come down on top side, hopefully to destroy this turret. It does true damage, so if they can get this turret low enough, perfect. First turret gold going over to the side of Cerlicei.
Oh, Egg might be burned in the mid lane here, but a well-timed stopwatch does give Darkweave a nice opportunity to turn this back around here. Stun connects, Trip goes down to the Comet shutdown, and Darkweave picks up the kill.
That is just the bounty that you didn't want to see left. And it just goes straight into the Anivia's pockets. Bird pockets are full right now. We're going to see what items come out of that. There's the Lost Chapter already on her, so hopefully we get the completed Mythic.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at the minute with that Amptome, could be anything in the inventory right there. Maybe we just see Everfrost with all the dive that comes through across Cerlicei's team composition. But we'll have to wait and see. No point at speculating. It's actually the Liandry's here. So full Liandry's comes on through. That is incredibly powerful. Also
and the Sunderer for Volibear also completed. We have to quickly look at the Sunderer as this is the game-breaking item of the last couple of patches. Ezreal actually getting that nerfed single-handedly, and then the Andrews coming through for Anivia. We were worried pre-game about the actual lack of damage they have over on Sacramentum. They have a lot of engage, a lot of heavy dive. But the lack of damage is quite obvious. The lack of carry potential. They have the Graves and the Jason, the Gwen and the Aphelios over on the side of Cerlicei. But if we see the full Leandries coming out from Anivia and the actual amount of damage that can put out just with the ulti alone, then we could have some remedies to the actual for the lack of damage over on Sacramentum.
Yeah, and we say that because if Anivia dies, this composition somewhat dies with it, with the consistency of DPS. Trip opens up here, and he doesn't have the support of anybody where Sneagle is here to help on out. No Hallowed Mist means that this Gwen is ripe for the picking. Trip tries to take the 2v1, but Sneagle's there. Sneagle's ready. That Divine Sunderer does some massive work.
Taking him out by the knees, mate. Just falling straight down there. Gwen now not looking so hot as she did in the early game. That TP and Ignite actually meaning the downfall as well. Maybe a flash there would have helped out, but who knows. The Volibear now looking at 4-0-0, and that lack of damage that we said previously, not looking like such a lack of damage anymore.
And we may even see Sterax come through second, right, for Sneagle, which is still like a nice mix of the two, you know, nice mesh between both damage and tankiness for the Volibear. Still obviously waiting to see, still speculating, as we do get a nice bot lane effort from Cerlicei here. Mako pops that shadow, gets away to safety, and now Couchy might have the opportunity to turn this back around. Looks for the Zenith Blade, doesn't find it. And honestly, with Tagus showing his face right there, I'm pretty sure Couchy's glad of that.
So Snigel just stepping up in lane there, doesn't feel the need to engage. And honestly, I would never want to see the Volibear engage there, because the lack of ult here is really, he doesn't want to go too deep, right?
Wants to keep himself nice and safe.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, once you ult in, you're not getting out. If you queue in, you're not getting out. You know, there's nothing to do. He's got flash up, but I don't think we'll see an engage or even like a disengaged engage unless he has his ulti up. He doesn't really want to be anywhere near those fights.
Well, for the time being here, a little bit of respite for the two teams. Dragon spawning in 1 minute and 10 seconds. Does sort of give us a window here where we're going to be starting to look at potential avenues for fighting. And if we expect to see that fight come through, you know, typically we like to look at the gold advantages across the board and say, well, looking at it, Cerlicei or Sacramentum are going to be the team coming out on top, with 500 gold being the total that separates these two teams. I wouldn't really put the advantage in either team's back pocket, you know, despite 6 kills being on one side, 2 being on the other. There's still a very even gold graph where we've got potentially the Aphelios feeling a little bit worse for wear because he did get killed. Is actually ahead in CS.
We do need to see that Gwen coming in for the side of Cerlicei, though. It seems like most of the gold differential is between the Gwen and the Malphite here. So if the Gwen does not turn up for these fights, which she has no right not to, she has TP up. There is perfect TP down for this next Drake, but we'll also see the match TP from Malphite, I'm assuming. And that top lane differential is what will make or break the game for me, I think. The 700 gold here on the Anivia over the Jace, and the Senna being slightly ahead of the Philios. I can't imagine if there is no top lane presence, I can imagine Sacramentum just come out top.
Double TP from Sacramentum regardless here. They're looking to take down Thiago Silva, who's a little bit caught out. This Aftershock has been procced. Moonlight Vigil finds 2 here, and actually we get a solo flight onto the Gwen. They immediately turn onto the big carry, and a big unstoppable on-force in the backside. Does find 2 members to get knocked up. Finally, Trip goes down here, and we're starting to see Cerlicei fall by the wayside. Graves does about as best as possible here, but Gura never able to find agency in this team fight. Gets stunned up, gets taken down as well. Sacramentum come away with 3 kills.
We saw that hard engage onto the backline there. The Volibear all over the wall, directly onto the main meat and veg of the Cerlicei team comp. The unfortunate, really, the Graves couldn't quite kite out there. The Aphelios split from the team completely, and the Gwen just singled out, even in her W, just taken down. If that doesn't prove to you how far Sacramentum is ahead, then nothing will. That Gwen W, obviously, I hate it. It's very bug.
Yeah, quite right. Definitely annoying for these ranged champions, particularly where we said that the DPS was coming from here, the Senna, the Anivia. If Gwen is immune, and Gwen is not taking damage from your DPS yet still dying,
she's not immune from everything.
You're quite right.
Gwen is not immune.
Gwen was unfortunately no longer immune, and as much as W is still very annoying for ranged champions, fortunately, it's not permanent, and that's the beauty of cooldowns, ladies and gentlemen. We got Soul Point, though, picked up for Sacramentum. They're able to take themselves their 3rd dragon of the game, meaning that Mountain Soul is ever present in the back of Cerlicei's minds. If they don't find the fight in about 4 minutes' time, and that omnipresent buff is going to be going straight over into Sacramentum's pocket. So far this game, outside of a few top lane shenanigans, have had a very good showing.
I am pleased to say that you were correct, my rude dude. The phage coming out from Volibear here looks like we might be seeing a Sterax.
Okay, play-by-play rude. Let's get it.
I'm excited.
We pulled out the big brain. We do have a slight bot lane difference there. I wasn't expecting these guys to ever get a turret, to be honest. Cerlicei, beyond what they already have. Sacramentum really not forcing their advantages here.
Sacramentum giving up that bot lane prio, actually, and moving the Leona up to the top lane. It seems they're more worried about the Gwen than they are the Aphelios scale. And obviously, as we see the Aphelios scale, we can't ignore the Gwen scale.
Oh, Couchy, though, does get stunned on up. There goes the Volibear stun. Unstoppable force into the backline, and My, oh my, it's a trade of kills here. So Gwen for Senna going down. 1-for-1 across the board. And honestly, if you're Cerlicei, you take those from behind.
As soon as Cerlicei see that Leona in the top lane, they just say, oh, wait, Senna's free? Senna's free? Oh, I guess we'll take it. I mean, if we're not paying for it, I guess we'll take it. The Senna just stepping up a little bit too far there when you can't move into that bottom side jungle.
Quite rightly, and we'd praised Mieko in the early stages of this game for recognizing their place up against a Nautilus and a Aphelios here, but a little bit too far forward here does get them caught out. Potentially caught out by the Nautilus Flash, but now could be a second effort down here as Weave looking to try and find some damage. Exhaust goes down here and responded to onto Gura here. Now double TP's come through from Cerlicei, and this is going to be one dead Leona. Tagus does take a big chunk on entry though off the back of that TP. Senna looking to dish out some damage. Mieko forced to use the Dawning Shadow just to keep himself alive in a Q off the turret as well. Stops the Ignite from taking him down. Big committal down in the bot lane for Cerlicei, but look at the top side.
That terrain generation from Anivia, they're just forcing the instant flash out of Jace.
Cheeky Moonlight Vigil over the wall there, but nothing too untoward here.
And Volibear is just getting free turrets topside. It seems like Cerlicei are completely giving up that topside just to make this bot lane play, and it may have been a bit of an oversight from them, honestly. The Volibear on the topside just breaking that second turret and getting that extra gold that they put in last patch.
He's got a Phage, he's got himself the Divine Sunderer as well, turrets. No problem for Cool Sneagle here, who really can just dish out damage in an absurd rate here up against those turrets, using both Q and E to provide sheen procs. And if you've got minions around as well, you can use that W as well. But either way, getting a lot of damage down, getting the turret traded back. Overall, probably even on the trade.
You see the Sunderer coming out for Senna here. It's an interesting choice, and as of a few patches ago, Sunderer does seem to be the main choice of a lot of good Senna players. As long as you can position correctly, the Sunderer just dishes out that much damage, gives you a little bit of tankiness. Doesn't mean you're getting one shot by the Jace or maybe the Graves, and the Graves obviously going for the shield bow here into lethality. So I'm assuming that a Collector will be picked up with the crit cloak there. As far as he is up on CS, I can't really see that lethality differential coming in. I would have rather seen a PD or some sort of movement item there from the Graves.
Mieko, okay, well, never mind. Carry on. You don't carry on. Tell me more about Graves.
I would have just loved to see the Phantom Dancer come through, and that's about it. Sorry, Mr. Rude.
No, it's okay because I fully agree with you here. You're staring down, steel caps across two members, Locket on a third, and then that's not to mention that Malphite has an absurd amount of armor. If his target selection is good, and he can get access to Darkweave, to Mieko on the two backline carries, then the lethality is justified. But we need to see that happen.
It's the negative level differential between the Graves and the Volibear. I can't see lethality ever pulling through in this game mode. No matter how much crit you get, no matter how much lethality you get, that level differential just puts you in a complete disadvantage if you're building that way. I would have rather to get the PD, maybe move our way around the fight a little bit more.
Well, all of that said, it particularly doesn't matter since this dragon just appears to be going over for absolutely free right here. Stunned up at the back end of the pit. Super Pedro right here in an absolute world of pain. He gets over for the flash auto attack. Doesn't get the dragon. And now the rest of the team going to come over the wall. Sacramentum come through. They support their Leona. And that's going to be 2 quick kills on top of the Mountain Soul.
I think we actually just saw the complete collapse of Graves' mental there from Super Pedro. The pinned in with the Anivia wall into the ulti, and then just, I need to steal this dragon, flash over, and then completely misses the smite there, unfortunately.
Well, with that, they're going to be able to push on down, take themselves a tier 2 turret, potentially even more as well, with this Mountain Soul at their backs. The Jace poke is inconsequential, absolutely no damage coming out from him at all off of that accelerated shock blast. They call it quits at a tier 2. Now, with 20 minutes having far elapsed, the Baron could well be on the cards.
That tanky engage front line with the Senna Shroud always terrifying. On the side of Sacramentum, if they get that Senna W into the Volibear Q, into Leona, the ulti, the solar flare, everything will go so badly wrong for Cerlicei so quickly, as it already has this game, and I just don't see them coming back for this.
And you know what, Squiggly, you really did hit the nail on the head in the draft that Sacramentum have got everything they need to take a team fight. Cerlicei really struggling with that here, and whilst we see Organized Crisis potentially going to go down here, does flash away from the dredge line and still has ulti. I would have liked to see him try and turn this one back around, but Guria here looking for the play, looking to try and collapse even further. Kraken Slayer means he will be cutting through this Malphite fairly quickly as he swaps to the Chakrams here. Increased attack speed for being so close. That's another quick kill back into Aphelios' pocket.
You say cutting through, I say tickling. That Mountain Soul is doing some work with that Malphite, honestly, and the plated steel caps there absolutely rendering Aphelios' damage almost useless. However, the amount of CC from the Nautilus just walks him down. Oh.
Trip, unfortunately, gets rooted up, gets stunned up, and surely gets taken down. Mieko walking around the mist instead of walking into it does give Trip a bit of agency here, but the Stormbringer comes on through, and despite the Riftmaker's best efforts, Trip does fall once again from 2-0 to 2-6. What a fall from Grace.
As much armor and magic resist as that Gwen W gives you, you just don't do anything against these full engage in-your-face lineups. The Leona, the Volibear inside the Shroud with you, you're not blocking anything.
And now the push down the mid lane is going to start here. As we mentioned, there is no Baron just yet, so this push somewhat weak in its efforts here. But that being said, it's very difficult to push up against an Anivia as well. So the shots go both ways, as we've got, Runans on one side with the Aphelios, Jace at wave clear as well. Plenty of wave clear across both sides.
We did see Anivia walking topside there. I was wondering if we were going to see the elusive Anivia flank come out. Would have been interesting, at least. She looked like she was worried about the top lane pushing in. We do see this top lane actually just like slowly pushing towards the side of Sacramentum. Actually, no, pushing the other way. We have a cannon minion on the side of Sacramentum. So that one will shove out on its own. Anivia going bot side now with the TP supposedly for Baron, so we could create some pressure bot lane. I'd actually like to see her shove another wave here and possibly TP for the fight. Cause a little bit of worry on the side of Cerlicei.
Oh, but now caught out in the mid lane. Organized Crisis gets flashed away from here, and now he's in a little bit of trouble. Depth Charge finds the Senna, but outside of that, it's just a trade of ultis between these two tanks to engage. Now Kauchi looks for the Solar Flare as well. We don't find any kills, just an exchange of a lot of ultis.
What does it matter when you have a mountain-souled Malphite?
Oh, Guria gets picked though. Zenith Blade finds the Aphelios. He goes down. Trip the next one up on the chopping block. And Darkweep finds his 6th kill of the game here, dominating in game number 1.
The full engage comp claims another victim, as we see that. Honestly, I would love to see the Malphite actually going like full tank. I mean, we see a lot of tanking items come out from him, but honestly, just like really zoning the Aphelios off completely and just looking to ult like a bigger group of people, and then the Graves then with the retreat to bot side will not even be contesting this Baron. Honestly, if we'd seen the PD come out from Graves a little bit of attack speed, I would have loved to see him follow up that with a Black Cleaver, and we could have actually had some shred here, some sort of resistance against this full tank lineup, kind of Volibear, Malphite in your face comp. But obviously with the lethality build, we're not going to see that come out.
Since you've mentioned the lethality build as well, this is there have been 0 items picked up by Super Pedro since that last dragon spawn, so we really need to see some more gold be put into Super Pedro. Finally
he
gets back.
it.
He gets the collector, gets himself an extra longsword on top of all that, and at this point I'm more inclined to believe with you that with a Mountain Soul as well, that is just too much armor to really make the lethality worthwhile, and it doesn't even look like anybody's getting in range of 5% of death to find the execute to give the passive some sort of bonus as well.
If you could see the absolute wince on my face when he picked up that collector. Yeah, oh my days.
I could hear it squiggly, don't you worry.
I squeaked a little, I think.
We've got an Elder Dragon spawning in about 20 seconds. Now, with a Baron, and with a Mountain Dragon, and with all of the gold lead that Sacramentum have got, it's hard to imagine this going any way but theirs. And you can see that they've done their due diligence. They've set up early. Trip is on the top side, and now the ulti over the wall. They found the jungler. Bye-bye, Pedro gets taken down. Godlike now on Sneagle, and anything else would just be an added bonus. The Dragon going to be on the chopping block, and Elder might just be the final nail in the coffin.
It, of course, will be. The Elder Dragon, you can't fight that. We're already struggling in these fights with a 5k down lead.
Oh, now looking to try and find Kauchi, though. He is in the wrong side of the pit. will go down to Gura there, but the dragon has been slain. It is going over to the red side here. Sacramentum are going to lose an inhibitor for this. Trip going to get taking that one in his nice sweet time. So overall, pros and cons, but now they could well get caught out here. Sneagle looks to try and find Tagus here. Smite comes down. The E, though, just in time to buy himself that space to get out of that Volibear stun.
I can't imagine Cerlicei ever win a fight here. I think the split push from Gwen was the right way forward. We see the TP down to the bot side to continue that kind of rampage there. Hopefully just PvEing some turrets out here. And the only thing that Sacramentum are going to be looking for now is a full engage, a full stack into the base, end the game as quickly as possible, use that Elder Drake and Baron, hopefully. And hopefully, if I was on the side of Sacramentum here, I'd be completely ignoring the Gwen.
Just a full 5-man smoke it down mid lane. That's going to be the efforts of the bot lane, though. Trip, this Elder Dragon, he stands no chance. It's a simple 1v1. There's a 3-level lead. There's absolutely nothing the Gwen can do. And that was as easy as you like.
I do have a feeling I called that one too, Rude Dude. As soon as that Malphite gets late, the Gwen just she doesn't stand a chance, man. Even if she is AP and he builds full armor with that mountain soul and that level lead, ult onto the face. The W doesn't matter. The slowed attack speed, Gwen can't get away. It's permanent slowing, and it's as soon as, like, you know, the Malphite gets there, the Gwen just struggles for the rest.
Now, I will say that Gwen has a few more disadvantages. You know, if they were fighting on even playing fields, maybe it would have looked a little bit different, but you did call it. You are quite right that this Gwen has since stood absolutely no chance, and a cheeky little stun there. Honestly, staring down an Elder and a 3-item Anivia, that could have killed Tiago right there. If there was an E on the top of that, he would have gone down to the burn of the Elder Drake, but resistance, I suppose, from Darkweave, and a little bit of remorse being shown as push now looking to come through in both mid and bot lane. They have Elder here. If they just force a fight, it's simply too difficult for Cerlicei to ever stop it. And again, showing restraint here, really kind of not what I'd like to see.
Honestly, Rude Dude, I don't know about you, but I have nightmares about Liandry's Anivia with Elder Drake. That thing will burn you from half health. Honestly, she'll chuck an ult down, you'll be ticking, and you'll be like, oh, I'm fine. And then, like, 30 seconds later, you'll die.
All of a sudden, just out of nowhere, death occurs, pretty much.
Yeah,
but
just genuinely.
They've wasted the Baron, though. Oh, they've wasted Baron, and they've now wasted the Elder. Unfortunately, no base is being broken, and I'm going to call that a win, honestly. If I'm looking at this from Cerlicei's side, the fact that they're still in this game in any capacity is a win for them. This game should have been over long ago. But,
it was Sacramentum's trigger to pull, and it just hasn't been pulled. Honestly, as soon as the Gwen TP'd bot lane, I feel like we should have seen that Sacramentum full 4-man, 5-man engage. It doesn't really matter at this point. They could have done it under the turret. They are far enough ahead and with Elder. But as you feel like, sometimes in these games, you get a little bit worried about whether you're going to throw or not. I could see them taking it a little bit slower, but I really would have just loved the trigger to just be pulled.
We always love a bit of aggression here on the caster desk, and something that we've not really seen as of late here by the Sacramentum squad. Obviously, early on, they were able to find themselves 17 kills in the game, so they can clearly brawl when necessary. Looking like they're going to be waiting for the third Baron here of the game, or maybe just the second, excuse me, to be spawning on up. And that should be the next win condition, if anything.
Looking at some of this player body language here, I'm looking at Malphite and I'm thinking, Organized Crisis, all he wants to do is engage this. I feel like he's being held back here. You know, they've got a bit of a leash on him. They're saying, no, wait. And Organized, he's like shaking. He's like foaming at the mouth. He just wants to go. See hero, kill hero, going to be the sort of philosophy for Organized Crisis here. But well restrained, I suppose, with all of these minions coming in on the top side of Summoner's Rift. Senna doesn't clear super minions particularly quickly at all, and this Baron now live and not being taken again. A little bit of an oversight here. I feel like the League of Legends playbook not really being read from, and now they might well lose the Organized Crisis down on the bot side. And well, I say that you know, this guy has an LDR. Gura has got the best armor pen that he could hope for, and with 3 auto attacks, still didn't cut through the Mounted Drake. We have Turbo Chem Tank over on the Malphite as well, so if he ever does really get in that much trouble, he can just pop that and get out. I can't imagine we'll be seeing too much contest down in the bot side, or even for this Baron, honestly. And I do like the fact that the Malphite is pushing the bot lane here. Organized Crisis applying some pressure while the Baron's being taken on the opposite side, and with that TP up.
So is this going to be the end of the game? Does this spell the beginning of the end for the Cerlicei roster? I'll have to wait and see as Solar Flare goes down and doesn't really find anything. Organized Crisis has a lot of minions going to be pumping out damage as well. There goes the exhaust and jumps straight onto the Aphelios, who just gets melted. These minions are doing so much work. Organized Crisis doing even more. And in the 1v3, there's a Dawning Shadow to help, but it's going to be Sacramentum that find the 1-for-1.
I can't say personally I was cheering for Cerlicei at any point during that fight. I just really wanted the 1v3 from Organized Crisis.
Needed to, unfortunately, use Senna ulti, fortunately, to find one kill traded back in response. But this, again, going to be stalling out the game just a little bit here, and it looks like Sacramentum are going to rely on their second Elder Dragon of the game here. Their neutral objective game, to their credit, has been near flawless, but the macro game in general, maybe not quite so much, with the game going on quite so long here. Malphite also has teleport to make his way into this pit when he respawns, whereas Aphelios is going to have to limp his way out from the base.
I do feel as though we have no Sacramentum, they don't care about this Gwen. There's absolutely no agency to building MR here at all. We have a Spectre's Cowl over on the Volibear after the Thornmail was built, and after the Sterix, and after the Divine Sundra, and then the Aegis of Legion for Malphite. Even though he is the one fighting her, there's just no respect.
Tagus has TP'd off to the top lane. They didn't want the Jace to try and stop this Elder Dragon going down. The rest of the squad are now coming in from the top side, but they're just going to get zoned out of their minds. The Anivia doing absolutely everything here with the Unstoppable Force used up on the top side. You imagine that Jace is going to fall very, very quickly. Red team secure the Elder Dragon. That's going to be Graves going down. Trip now trying to do as much damage as he can in the midst of the backline here, but up against the Elder, it's simply too much. Couchy still lives, and everybody gets wiped. Cerlicei taken off the face of the earth, and Sacramentum should take game number 1.
It should just be a push down mid, Rude, dude. Honestly, just a straight 5, run it down mid, the old Tyler 1 way. Malphite getting that actual, just a normal 1v1 up the top lane with Jason absolutely destroying him here. You can't imagine that teleport was much more than a misclick.
You'd certainly like to think not, but something tells me that that was a planned TP to maybe try and base race against the Baron or the Elder Dragon or whatever it may have been. They spent their time this game here, Sacramentum, but finally we do see the finishing touches being put down. Nexus Turret 1 under fire, Nexus Turret 2 as well. Super Pedro going to be here, and unfortunately he gets immediately ulted by the Malphite. Thiago Silva, from his return to League of Legends, going to get taken down as well. A bit of padding of the stats before Sacramentum take game 1. Squiggly, that was a brawl for sure. I do have to, ask you though, just as a bit of a cursory question, statement, whatever it may be. What went wrong? What went wrong there for Cerlicei Gaming?
So on the side of Cerlicei, we had this Trip powerhouse in the early game, just a real powerhouse in the early game, and really pushed through and forced that Malphite to make some very, very bad decisions. We saw the gank come out from Super Pedro top, which didn't actually work out, but forced out the flash. I would have just seen a bit more aggression from the Gwen, and then the full split push scenic, just run it down the top lane, run it down the bot lane, get those inhibs. We did see the inhib fall on the top side, and I really wish that she was doing that more often. And of course, the 9 deaths coming out after that early game of the 2 and the 0, I was really I was feeling it for Malphite, and then there was just nothing. There was just nothing on the side of Gwen there. I didn't really feel like their team comp really gelled together either. If we'd seen more of a peel disengaged comp, maybe with the Lulu instead of the Nautilus as they hovered in draft, we might have seen a little bit more Aphelios damage coming out, a bit more peel coming out, and the Gwen may have been able to stay alive slightly longer as well. Actually, when we saw the dragon fight on the bot side just behind the wall, when Gwen was inside the W, we could have seen the Lulu ult really make a difference there as well.
Yeah, so hopefully we get some more fight out of Cerlicei in game number 2. And there's only one way to find out about that, and that is to get ourselves into game number 2. But before all that, we have to take a quick break, make sure that everybody's ready for that second game, and we will be joining you here, myself, Rude and Squiggly, in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again to the official Valence League. This is Season 3, Division 3A, week number 1 between Sacramentum and Cerlicei Gaming here. We got to see Cerlicei have a bit of a rough time in game number 1, and Sacramentum definitely dealt them a fate decidedly worse than death. And now, as we try to get ourselves back into game number 2, it's a reminder that it is yourself, myself, Rudude, and yourself, Squiggly, bringing you all of the action here tonight.
Beautiful. Excited for game 2, Rude. Honestly, the first game, Sacramentum, the Anivia and the Volibear on the team of Sacramentum actually killing it with 0 deaths between them. Darkweeb and Snigel actually just running an absolute clinic.
Yeah, you're quite right. And obviously, a quick reminder that we do have still those 3 bans that will be missed by Cerlicei by nature of them using an E-sub. But that's what we saw in game number 1. It's what we will again continue to see in game number 2. And maybe those bans are something that they might have really liked.
I would have really liked to see the ADC come back for the time of Cerlicei, but apparently we didn't get to see that, so Gura's taking over that spot again, and the Xin Zhao ban coming over on the side of Sacramentum then instantly just locking in that, saying, nope, no Xin Zhao, he's too broken, he's too OP this patch, we don't want to talk to him, we don't want to see him, we don't even want to pick him.
And quite rightly so, playing out of the red side, that's not a luxury that you have, is leaving something up and then, having first pick potential, right? So they're going to take Xin Zhao off the table themselves. And if, they look to continue with those same sets of bans, I believe we saw, I can't remember quite what the other bans were. Nocturne definitely, I don't think was on that table, but
Nocturne was up there. Nocturne was banned.
Well, you know what?
Game.
And that's why you're the color caster.
There we go. We do hate to see the Nocturne who can R in, join any fight, and the Stride Breaker changes, obviously making him really, really strong this patch. So getting rid of that is obviously limiting the amount that they can just jump on the face and then hit the Stride Breaker, get the fear off, and that's those solo kills from the top lane or even the jungler won't be happening quite so often.
Third ban going to get missed here once more. The third and final one here for Sacramentum. We'll have to see if they complete the full roundhouse sweep. And indeed, they do here. Samira hitting that ban table once more. Now, Trip elected for the first pick Gwen in the first game of this best of 3. Now, do we expect to see the same thing?
I can't imagine after going 2-9 in that last game that they will pick the Gwen again. The early game prior was definitely was beautiful from the time the team of Cerlicei, but then there's the Sylas lock-in. Sylas being very, very strong this patch.
A blind Sylas, though, so, early on, at the very least, there is an opportunity here for Sacramentum to pick themselves some subpar ultimates in exchange for not giving Sylas this insane damage and insane power in the game, but they lock in the Volibear. It's the exact same as game number 1. If they want to take the Senna here as well, they're more than inclined to do so.
That's just not going to happen. Then the Sylas is going to steal that Volibear ult quite often in this game, I can believe. The Sylas being the flex pick of the top and the mid, and the Volibear actually being locked in as a flex pick as well. Will we see it jungle again? Will we see it top this time? The Ezreal locked in for the time of Sacramentum instead of that Senna, and then straight away the Olaf being hovered.
Okay, so go ahead.
Oh yeah, we might see more Divine Sunderas this game then. The Volibear obviously building it and the Ezreal following that one up. You know what they say, Rude Dude, in this patch, the more Divine Sunderas on the team, the more likely you are to win. Yeah,
it's a direct correlation between a more Divine Sunderas equals wins in just pretty much basic columns. If I have more Divine Sunderas than the enemy team, then I'm going to win the game by nature of my items, and there's simply no counterplay. So at present, Sacramentum definitely coming away with the advantage on that one. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Divine Sunder is quite the Olaf mythic.
Oh no, but we could see it on Leona. No, I'm kidding. The Karma and the Karma and the speed up on the Olaf could be quite good. Those Mantra E's coming in very, very solid there. And the actual peel off from the Leona as well, the W going down. Karma being the very, very disengaged champion. She's very, very good at disengage. The Shen going in for a ban on the Cerlicei side and the Yasuo on the side of Sacramentum makes me think that they don't actually want to disengage as much as they've shown in this Karma. The Shen would have been a really, really nice round out to this comp if they actually wanted to pull the disengaged comp here on the side of Cerlicei.
And obviously, we saw a similar style for Sacramentum in game number 1. They've gone for the similar approach of we'll give an AD carry that can be abandoned down in the bot lane, open up Cauchy to roam around the map and help out in the jungle. But what I'm happy with is Cerlicei. They've changed up the game plan. Game number 1, they went for a comp. It didn't work. And game number 2, they've gone for something different. They've taken themselves Karma, which is an insane power pick, very, very strong in the current meta, and they've taken themselves some more brawling power out of the Olaf here, one of those champions that is very, very powerful in the early game.
I do feel like if that set is locked in for the side of Sacramentum, we're actually just going to see a disgusting engage comp. Oh, the Yone as well.
No, don't do
terrifying champion. Don't do it. just in case. Oh, the Urgot gets locked in instead, and that ulti obviously doesn't need to be just used as an execute. It can be used as a massive slow then for the engage or indeed the re-engage. The Leona, Volibear, Urgot all looking to get onto the backline. The Vayne locked in on the side of Cerlicei. Gura looking to do some fancy footwork here and avoid those full-blown all-ins.
Is it going to be Vayne spotting or Vayne pogging in this game? We will have to wait and see, because Gura on the Aphelios, somewhat a bit of a PowerPoint from game number 1, but again, not really with the support from the rest of the team to help that out. This time has got a bit of a better front line in the Olaf, a bit better support as well in the Karma. So, the tools there for the AD carry are present, but it's still going to be very difficult. And with 2 other AP presences this time round, I like once again that there's a nice mixed damage profile coming through from Cerlicei, if nothing else.
We do have that Rise and that Silas, which are flex both top and mid, so we can see those going to either lane. The Galio locked in for Sacramentum, rounding out this full engage comp. I actually really, really like this. The Volibear engage, the Leona in the Galio ulti on top of all of it. The only thing maybe better than an Urgot is maybe a Camille. If we see that Camille ult come down, the Galio ult on top of that, I would have loved to see that out of Sacramentum here. But the Urgot just as good for that slow on the ulti, and then the Leona follow up, the Ezreal poke, actually being able to keep them through that. And I like the Karma lock in actually for Cerlicei. Actually with the poke that we have from Ezreal and the disengage that we can get, trying to peel away from the Sacramentum comp, I really don't mind it at all. Rise obviously putting out consistent DPS, and the Silas able to get really in there down and dirty.
So looking at it, honestly, I would have picking Galio when the enemy team is already showing a Vayne. Not necessarily something I'd be happy to do, but it's something that fits their composition, and you touched on why perfectly, and Camille Galio, as you mentioned, a duo pretty much as old as Camille's time, really. Got not really fitting the same brief, but has a little bit more dueling power in the early stages, and particularly up against a Silas, and not really going to be doing too badly. Any melee matchup is a matchup that the Urgot's going to be happy to take. Honestly, but outside of that, there's so much short range, and this is still a Vayne.
I think this game will come down to the ability to peel the Vayne, the Karma's ability to peel the Vayne, and actually the Condemns as well. The Condemns are going to be very, very important in these team fights, and indeed in the game throughout. Like the Volibear trying to get on the Vayne, and the Galio hitting that taunt. If the Vayne can time that Condemn well, there's no way that Galio gets a decent taunt off.
You're quite right. There's a lot of onus of execution being placed onto Gura here on this Vayne, because there's no doubt that this Vayne up against essentially 4 tanks is going to have a whale of a time trying to cut through all of them here, provided you get Kraken Slayer. From about 2 items, presuming we see Phantom Dancer come through second, Vayne going to have that increased attack speed, increased movement speed, and overall just increased amount of fun that she can have fighting off against these tanks if that kite is there.
I can imagine if Gura hits that 3-item spike early, or at least even an average time, and it hasn't been shut down already by the Sacramentum lineup, there's a huge clear line for Cerlicei to actually win this game. The Rise pumping the damage, the Silas actually just being the front line for the team, as well as the Olaf and the Karma peel. I think we'll actually see Cerlicei actually fight this one a lot more than the previous game.
Yeah, this is live and die by your Vayne this time around. Yes, Tagus is going to have some nice damage to pump on through, but capitalizing on a mispositioned Rise is much easier than capitalizing on a Vayne who's mispositioned here, with obviously Vayne having the tumble, the invulnerability, a free knockback as well off of her E. The Rise relying very heavily on Realm Warp and heavily on that phase rush to get out to safety. And I also want to highlight something else that may go a bit understated in this game, and that's going to be the Undertows from Super Pedro, because obviously this is a very run-at-you style team composition for Sacramentum, And if they're slowed, that's a pretty big deal. If these undertows are hitting the marker across multiple members time and time again, Gura's going to have even more space, even more agency to try and buy some time here for the team.
I think we can double down on the Cerlicei picks, honestly, as well, as that Silas stealing that Galio ult to peel the Vayne would be huge, would be actually massive. We see the Karma coming out for the Vayne peel, but honestly, the Silas stealing the Galio ult, or even the Volibear ult, and just creating that little bit of space, little bit of extra space for the Vayne could actually be huge. We just need to see whether Trip plays it correctly or not, whether he dives the backline or actually pulls back and plays that full peel comp.
So, Squiggly, you've seen game number 1. You've now seen the draft for game number 2. You're allowed nameplates on for this one, but who's taking this game?
I think I could give it to either of them, honestly, at this point. I think Sacramentum played game 1 very, very nicely, and I think that the Ezreal could be key in winning this game, but I also as much see it completely in the bot lane shift. You know what I mean? The Gura could pull through in this one with the Vayne, and seeing how Trip plays this game, we could be very, 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 very surprised by Cerlicei's comp.
And as we, let this one run through here, the game is underway. We are out onto Summoner's Rift here. The teams haven't changed sides. We've once again got Cerlicei on the blue side, Sacramentum over on the red. We saw a little bit of an invade come through at level 1 by Miko and Kauchi just to put a ward down, but outside of that, nothing too particular. This time, though, level 1 invades coming through for the Sacramento squad. Oh
no!
You know what? Let me just quickly rectify you guys.
We'll swing back to 10.
Little bit of a miscommunication by myself entirely. We're going to wait and see here before we get ourselves loaded up. We're going to get to the 10-second marker. I'm just jumping the gun here, and you guys get a little bit of a teaser as to what actually is going on in the game. There may be some level 1 shenanigans, but I am now officially paused at that 10-second marker. Apologies to my producer. We'll wait for the countdown here to get us all off and ready to make sure that we're all good to go. And beautiful stuff. There we have it. Ready to go here for game number 2. And if you kind of take a little bit of a glance down to your blue side jungle, that's where we might see some shenanigans afoot.
We see this now as 5 players on the side of Cerlicei actually head towards that bot side. I was really hoping for a Super Pedro invade. I don't feel like he was really... I think he was really caught off guard, honestly, last time. And we got that ward down from Snigel on his... I think it was this Raptors, and we saw the pathing then for the side of Sacramentum. But Graves in that last game, also known as Super Pedro, didn't have that same vision advantage, and just actually played around it accordingly. I have to say, he didn't fight the Volibear on the bot crab. He went instead corrected his pathing to the top side. But I'm really, really hoping that we get a little bit more info on both sides.
Well, out of the gate here, good to see that despite these teams maybe having a little bit of a tough time closing out game number 1, the early level 1 macro still there, that we do have 5 points coming out. Kauchi, they're able to spot out the invade, able to put down a ward as well and defend his bot side jungle. This time around, we see a little bit of a difference. We get to see Super Pedro start on the top side with Cool Snigel starting down on the bot side of the map. And last game, it didn't really amount to anything. We didn't get any jungle presence. Neither side particularly battling for crabs. But this time, you have to imagine that's going to be the exact same.
I imagine this Volibear starting bot side here is for a very, very good reason. I would have actually preferred to have him start top side, but maybe he thinks that Karma and Vayne lane is just way too safe to actually get the gank off early. We see a little juggle here from Super Pedro, juggling the Grump and the blue buff. So I can imagine that Volibear gank actually coming out top side pretty soon.
Really big usage, and Flash already burned. Trip, he had a bit of a good time level 1 in the previous game. This time round, no such luck.
Organized Crisis just asserting dominance this time around. He says, nope, it's not happening again. You're not cheesing me with Gwen. You're not cheesing me with any of that TP Ignite shit. We're gonna just force that level 1 and hopefully have that Urgot come out on top.
Yeah, obviously, level 1 disdain definitely going well there. As the stun comes through now onto Tiago, has to force the flash out. Kauchi stepping up a little bit more aggressively here, and Gura spacing appropriately. Does mean that he's able to get a lot of damage down. Now Tegas gets the root on that mid lane. Darkweed forces the double taunt here, flashes out to safety, and just gets out to safety here. No flash is followed up on, and the ghost, though, from Super Pedro is expended.
We do see a little bit more of a fight coming out from Cerlicei this game, which I'm really excited about. Unfortunately, blowing the flash on top lane and the support very, very early. But honestly, the fight in the Olaf gank mid, beautiful, forcing the flash on Galio. He doesn't have any sort of escapes other than his E, which is a charge up. You can flash in front of it. You can move in front of it as Olaf. The ghost on the Olaf, actually, not the flash. But if you move in front of that Galio, there is just no way that he escapes those ganks. The undertow is going down, the slow coming out, and then, you know, without flash, Galio actually going to be having a very bad time here.
And it doesn't really come at the cost of anything either. We can see that Snigel and Super Pedro both going to make their way toward their crabs at about the same time. So, you know, outside of forcing your ghost from the Olaf, no real disadvantages for going for that gank in the mid lane. So they're going to more than happily take a ghost for flash trade. And now Organized Crisis once again lands the disdain. Trip goes back in there with the abduct. Snigel is in a position to help a counter gank. A gank itself, though, not quite so much.
Even with that early turret shot, Organized Crisis just absolutely slaying these trades on Trip up here in the top lane. I feel like as though if we get the Executioners on Urgot from an early level, possibly first back, if he gets that 800 gold value, I really feel as though the Sylas is going to have a terrible time in this lane. He almost can't come back.
One of those things that just counters Sylas in abundance, the ability to cut his healing down. That really does have a detrimental effect to how well the Sylas can be playing out his laning phase. So would expect to see the Executioners calling early, potentially even a Bramble Vest if we're feeling particularly spicy, given that they have got a Vayne here. So we'll have to wait and see which one of those options Organized Crisis selects to go for, if he goes for any. You know, worth noting that he doesn't have to, but now Cole Snigel flashes in on the top side and Trip plays it perfectly to get away. He doesn't have flash himself, and the Kingslayer gives him just enough HP to maybe make us think that it's close. And unfortunately, it just wasn't. Snigel picks up the kill, and that's first blood going over to Sacramentum.
Cool Snigel actually walking up there to abuse the lack of flash on Sylas. Obviously, the amount of ability on Sylas, you can make it look like you're actually going to get away. But at the end, the actual thunder comes down right on his head. The Volibear picking up first blood here, and I'd love to see what he picks up first. The Sheen and double Ruby Crystal coming out for the side of Sacramentum. Cool Snigel is looking to make his presence known in this game.
Yeah, the first blood going handily into a second Ruby Crystal here off of that recall. Tagus now forced into a little bit of a rough spot, but there is an Olaf there just to back him up. Forces the stopping of the recall, but obviously takes a big chunk of damage for his sins. And you can see on the minimap that Pedro is helping that push in the mid lane come through and allowing this Rise a bit of a free reset. Oh, now top side though, Organized Crisis, he's level 6. Press the attack has been procced. If he looks for the ulti, there's a chance he finds it. And instead, no way, the turret shot comes through. Trip goes down, and that's 2 kills to the top side.
A solo kill that we saw earlier on in that last game absolutely flipped on its head here as Organized Crisis takes Trip's head clean off, honestly, with that ulti. And he's not going to be feeling good about this one. The Sylas early game just absolutely turned on its head, and the Urgot actually just taking the lead here. Honestly, I'd like to see the Organized Crisis. Oh, he instead opts for the Iron Spike Whip to come out. I would assume that's going into the Stride Breaker here so that he can stick to the Sylas. I would have really liked the Executioners of the Bramble Vest to come out. I'm not going to lie. I am a little bit disappointed. But the Unspiked Whip, obviously, able to snowball his early lead and actually create some distance there. The problem with Sylas is that he has these early game trades that just solely, like, they revolve around his W. If you can cut that W healing, he just has no early game trades. That's all he needs to do is quick, sharp trades, get the W, get out, and obviously using the Bramble Vest or the Executioners here would have been absolutely perfect for Organized Crisis. So I'm a little bit disappointed that's not picked up.
Now, I fully agree with you, and I can completely understand the points here, but to Organized Crisis' credit, he is still finding the solo kills regardless of the lack of anti-heal. So I can understand the thought process on both sides here that I don't need the anti-heal, I'm slamming him without it. And even items removed here, the amount of gold that goes into levels themselves are absolutely insane here. Level 7 to level 5 just goes to show you quite how far ahead Organized Crisis really is on this matchup. Definitely going to be a tough time ahead.
The level 6 Olaf coming in now, though. There is a possibility that they win this trade. Yeah, the Olaf just cutting through Organized Crisis. It's not even close, honestly. The level 6 Olaf can just show you how far behind Trip is being level 5 in that scenario.
Let's go down on the top side. Nice little response here, giving the Silas a bit more reign in this laning phase here to collect those minions, get back into a good position. We did see the flash burned as well in the mid lane. Tegus forced to expend that summon a spell here, and also to the point of the early game gank, we remember seeing the Olaf burn the ghost to force Galio's flash. It's now back up. There was really nothing there gained by the Cerlicei squad, and I'd like to see a bit of a response from Sacramentum once again here. They've burned mid lane flash. Let's see if they can get a repeat gank. Let's see if they can find something from it. So
that was very close.
That was scary.
Very close. I think I saw 43 health there on the dragon. Yeah, a little miss smite from Cool Snaggle here coming out. But hey, we're junglers. We're all human, all right? We miss smite sometimes.
My favourite saying right now is the ends justify the means, and he smited and he got the dragon. The outcome and how it happened simply do not matter. Now, Darkweave does go in with the Justice Punch here. There go the Winds of War to take Tegus down very low once again. It's a trade of Undertow that puts the health bars right back to even here in the mid lane, and forcing the back out of Darkweave does mean that TP most likely going to have to be expended to get back and collect this wave.
One thing I would like to touch on is that Ryze isn't really that worried about his flash. As long as he has phase rush up, a lot of these ganks won't actually go successfully anyway. The Galio very much, he struggles to stick to him without flashing on him, and as they took that taunt flash mechanic out of Galio's kit recently, there is just absolutely no way that Ryze doesn't just kite out of said taunt. He procs that phase rush, he can just run back to his turret, honestly. Unless there's a full engage on his face, some sort of Volibear stun out of nowhere, I can't see Galio actually landing this taunt.
And you know, Volibear does now have that flash available. Same for Crisis on the top side of the map as well. We saw them use their flashes in tandem to take down Trip in a gank about 5 minutes ago, but those flashes have since come back up off cooldown, and the potential for a repeat very, very present here. And you know, similarly in the mid lane as well, Tegus still without their flash. Quite right, phase rush is very, very strong when trying to dissuade those flash plays, and might well be enough to get him out to safety.
That level lead in top lane, consistent throughout, however. We see Organized Crisis.
In a little bit of trouble here. Volibear, you need to get off this Rift Herald, my friend. The stolen away Fear Beyond Death takes down one, and now Trip. Level 8 here. Cool Snaggle going to be forced to ulti over the wall. At the very least, he might try and turn this one back around. Stormbringer still available here. What's he going to do with it? Galio ulti in, and this may well just be the demise of Darkweave as well here. Trying to dish out as much damage as possible. Unfortunately, Tegus is on the other side of the wall. That's 3 quick kills over to Cerlicei.
Just a real overcommittal there from Sacramentum. I've got to say, there's as soon as Trip gets his Conquerors up on that Silas, there is honestly no killing him. The W resets, can't, you know, like we were saying before. If we cut the W slightly, there's a slightly more chance of killing him. But the W, like on that very, very low cooldown, and actually getting back into the game now with that lack of level lead from Organized Crisis. Now he is just about to ding level 9, but a Trip actually closing the gap just slightly.
That's a really big swing. There's no other way of putting it here. Yes, the Herald went into the Volibear's back pocket, and he has been spotted on his way down to this Tri-Brush, and Tegus is there as well to sort of show his face. Something is still available, so if they try and turn this one, you have a fair amount of damage to go through. Couchy looks for the engage here, finds one stun. Solar Flare available here if he wants it, but now they're going to go for the double Stormbringer here. Guria flashes away though. They focus down the Karma to begin with, and she's still alive. Snaggle going to go down. That's one to Trip. Trying to make it 2 here as Couchy goes down as well, and now Trip trying to find that third. It's a double kill over to the Vayne. The Duck just misses out there. Maiko dashes over the wall here, but a 3 for 0 once again here in favour of Cerlicei.
We did talk about that Gura Condemn coming out, and actually how hard these fights would turn on their head. I really, really like to see him using it a little bit more passively next time. He used it as almost like an engage this time.
Undertow connects. Maiko with little to no escape right here. Dodges the final axe, which would have been his demise there. So does get away, but has to burn both summoner spells for it.
Burning heal and flash in a lane where Vayne is already up 2 kills and 1 assist. I can't imagine Maiko's actually looking forward to returning to lane.
And you can see that he's going to have to at some point. Couchy not having much better time either, as double ranged against a melee Leona trying to farm up as many minions as she possibly can. Definitely doesn't look all that good for the bot lane right now. Sacramentum really having this game turned on its head there. A nice little lead coming out, and it's a bit of deja vu, really. In game number 1, Cerlicei were the ones that came over with the slight lead, and then Sacramentum the ones that turned it back around. And in this game, it's just the same script, but flipped over.
As we see these team comps, though, I'd really like to point out the fact that Cerlicei's team comp is just a lot more solid here in the second game than in the first game. We've got the peel comp, we've got the actual like protect the vein coming out from the side of Cerlicei, and actually just winning those team fights, just it proves to you how much having a succinct and gelled lineup can affect a game. The Urgot now losing his lead as Trip did in the first game on the Gwen. And actually just not looking to pressure quite as hard. And as the Vayne picks up the Kraken Slayer as the first item, and we'll already see her tearing through these people like we said in Champion Select.
Not needing the Gale Force, not wanting the Immortal Shield Bow here. Too much safety from the rest of the team. Now Couchy and Maiko could well be in trouble. Couchy steps into the face of Rise, who's able to find the root, find the kill, and it's Super Pedro that knocks that one down now with a 4 versus 5 around the Dragon. TP not available for Trip. This could be a 4v4 here, but it looks like Sacramentum gonna give it up here. First Dragon of the series here goes to Cerlicei.
Sacramentum have just got to give up that Dragon. There's no way they fight that. There's no way they even get into the pit in the first place. Volibear with no flash never wants to engage that. And we could just peel off it and then just get that one, like secure that Drake on the side of Cerlicei. It's just it's an easy pickup, honestly.
And they pick it up easily, as you so rightly mentioned here. They're very happy to take that for themselves. One Cloud Dragon down. No more to come, unfortunately. There's an Ocean Rift here, and obviously, if Executioner's Callings weren't going to be needed this game, they certainly are now, because there is an Ocean Soul up for grabs for either one of these teams. Who's going to get it still remains to be seen, as Tegas is just absolutely BMing out the Dark Weave right now, as there are 2 people in the brush waiting to try and dive onto this Galio. The final Q goes wide, and actually Undertow misses as well. So a couple of missed skill shots there, one flashed away from one not quite hitting the marker. Does give Sacramentum a little bit of space to find a getaway for Galio.
Sacramentum actually picking up this first turret with the Rift Herald, though, which I do like, getting that influx of gold early into the pockets of Volibear and the Urgot here. TP ult from Rise here.
Disdain a little too early, looks to try and take down Tegas with the Fear Beyond Death, but flashing out to safety means he's going to be absolutely fine. And Gura, down on the spot side, actually tumbles away from the Solar Flare. Zenith Blade dodged out from, yes, I'm 1 versus 2, but I can just break your ankles.
Ankles are broken, Rude Dude. Ankles broken. Guru's putting in work this game. He was not happy with the Aphelios performance that he put on last game, and he's just decided, you know what? I'm going to stop playing with my feet. I'm going to hit it, and I'm going to hit it hard. This Vayne gameplay is coming out, and like you said in the Champion Select, Vayne spotting or Vayne pogging, I think we're getting a bit of Vayne pogging.
It looks like it here, 2-0-1 on the scoreboard. Zenith Blades going wide time after time here, and actually dashing into the Leona here. Exhaust goes down. Guria immediately turns onto the Ezreal. Maiko looking for the shots, can't quite find it. Flash Inspire to keep the Vayne alive, and a double kill goes to Vayne.
You've heard of Caster's Curse, but what about the Caster's Call? The Vayne just absolutely dominating that 1v2, basically. The Karma flashing in for the assist afterwards. Can't imagine Thiago Silva was that involved, to be honest. I think the Vayne just had that one. I was a little worried after the roll into the Leona, but it seems to work out eventually, and the level difference on this bot lane is now shining through. The Ezreal actually at level 9 here, and the Vayne sitting on level 10, while we have a level 8 Leona. There's not much that she can't shred through at this stage in the game.
And there's an expression in the casting world. It's called smacking them with your wallets. In that instance, Guria had picked up the Kraken Slayer with a little dagger as well, where Maiko still sitting on just the components of the Divine Sunderer. You could see right there that the Kraken Slayer was doing an incredible amount of work, allowing for this 1 versus 2 to take place, and that's exactly why Guria felt comfortable going for it. 4-0-1 now on the Vayne, goes back, picks up the tier 2 boots, picks up a Zeal on top of all that, and an extra longsword.
We'll have to see if they can capitalize on the 500 gold shutdown that Vayne currently holds. If they can get that, then it might be a little less painful for the side of Sacramentum. But honestly, I don't see them ever getting on here at this point. Volibear seems to be falling off already into this game. Honestly, I can't see the level of scale on the side of Cerlicei, in the Silas, the Rise, and the Vayne. I can't ever see this Volibear getting into that backline and actually being able to do anything substantial.
It's going to be a long road ahead for Sacramentum, and unfortunately, the longer the road goes, the stronger and more daunting it becomes, because Gura on the Vayne is only going to get stronger here. You talked about if the Vayne can reach 3 items, even at an even pace. How about when she's ahead of the curve right here? Vayne's going to be absolutely lethal. Second Herald being used now to take down not just one turret in the mid lane, but potentially a second, as Trip goes in here with the Abduct. Solar Flare goes down. Snigel now incredibly low. Solar Flare in response, though. Trip gets away just about with the Mantra and the Shurelias, keeping him alive. It's a trade of turrets. Top tier 2 for mid tier 1 here. So Cerlicei and Sacramentum going blow for blow.
That top tier 2 is a big influx of gold, actually. They buffed it last patch. You will be getting an extra chunk of gold for that inner turret on both sides. Not the mid one, the outer turrets. And honestly, you said Vayne ahead of the curve here. How about 2,000 gold ahead of the curve? The Ezreal is at 5.6k right now. The Vayne having earned over 7,700.
He dashes into the airgun and just gets one shot. There's your 500 gold bounty. And now with Dragon on the table, there's TP potentially available, but the rest of the team fight just does not look good. Couchy gonna go down here, and without their big Vayne, do they have the damage? We do see that Naiko almost goes down on the backside of the fight. Here comes Darkweave trying to dissuade, to stall. Trip incredibly low here. Might well just go down to the back end. Snigel finds the slam down, able to take down another kill here. And just like that here, Squiggly, it's turned once again.
Yeah, we got the Snigel flash coming out for the stun onto the Silas there. Trip just... I feel like that was a misclick again. He eased in. The smite coming out from Volibear. Dragon dropping very, very low. Mako having used that new Divine Sunderer item, actually doing damage now.
Weird, huh? The Mythic comes through. All of a sudden, the Ezreal dishes out DPS. Thiago Silva might actually break out to safety here. Q gonna give him a little bit of space here. Needs to land this. Dodges it. Essence Flux. Winds of War. Not the shields keep Thiago Silva alive.
Hey.
It's a little consequence, but still, nice fancy feat.
It's the IRL skills paying over into the League of Legends gameplay there. The fancy feat, as you said, footballers moving into League of Legends, they got the jukes.
They do. That's quite right. Maybe giving off some right-wing impressions as opposed to a centre-back, but hey, it must be in training.
So we do see a little bit more damage coming out from the Ezreal now. Like we said, the Divine Sunderer picked up, so a little bit more...
This is just a quick kill. You can carry on.
Yeah, I think we all know where this one's going. The Alona flash out though, so we're okay. So yeah, having the Divine Sunderer picked up for the Ezreal, we're more likely to see these closer team fights now. The Kraken Slayer obviously had that spike, and the Gura actually continued through with that, and has actually picked up the Zeal as well now. So is going to be doing even more damage in these team fights. As long as they can peel the Vayne, I think they still come out on top for the side of Cerlicei. But honestly, that Divine Sunderer Ezreal actually looking quite scary already.
It's a very big power point coming from Sacramentum squad. Once again, their damage somewhat lacking across the board here. You know, we've got Protobelt Galio sort of lacks it. Come the late game, the Volibear going to be falling off. Similarly, the Ergot as well. The Ezreal really going to be the one to look to dish out damage in these later stages, and he is incredibly far behind. You know, might be 150 CS, only down 25, but with one single item up against Vayne's almost 2 here, it was definitely telling in this instance. The Baron now being started, and Sacramentum have absolutely no idea this one's going down, and they're not even using Vayne to do it.
The amount of top side vision the Cerlicei have in this scenario is just huge. Volibear might be able to steal this one.
Control ward over the wall here. Baron knocks him up to try and stop it here. Stormbringer in, and not quite the damage to find the smite. gets taken down here. Now Galio with the hero's entrance over the wall, trying to find some damage. This is a 2v4 that they're taking, and somewhat convincingly here, but finally the turn comes through. Solarflare doesn't find any stuns. I'm Trip, though, gets knocked up. That Kingslayer gives him a little bit more health here, and in the 3 versus 4, somehow, some way, Sacramentum are turning this one back around. It's a double kill to Snigel. He wants them to hear him roar. The triple kill comes through as Tagus is running for the hills here. Couchy, will he find the Zenith Blade in time? No, but the stun comes through. Should be a quadra kill here. In fact, as Snigel runs down the rise, and thank you very much. It's all gone wrong.
Snigel just showing how good he is at this Volibear pick. And you might be memeing him in chat over there, but you know, these Volibear mechanics do actually matter.
Ulti went wide down on the bot side. Organized Crisis doesn't quite find the kill right there. Vayne pogging in this instance as Gura able to find the kill. It's the one single power point from Cerlicei here, because Sacramentum took themselves a big fight off on that top side.
The rematch from the earlier Urgot one-shot, eh? Did you see what Mako was doing in that fight, by the way, that they had topside with Baron?
Tell me.
He was sitting mid farming minions.
Well,
I was watching him the entire time. We saw the team fight go through on the on the Baron doorstep. Mako did not. He didn't respond. He thought that 3 minions was probably more important than that fight. And to be fair, he called it right. Sacramentum won that one. So you know what?
They didn't need him.
Yeah,
It's
no
called having
shade
faith in your
thrown.
team, Squiggly. Come on.
No
He
shade.
needs those
I'm
tier
not throwing
stacks as
shade.
well.
It's fine. It's fine.
No shade being thrown. It was perfectly calculated by Mako. He needs those
Absolutely.
tier stacks as soon as possible, because 66 at 24 minutes, I will tell you, is bad. And that is shade being thrown. That needed to be picked up a little bit earlier. It needed to be picked up the first recall. There's a reason that we see Ezreal's take Tia Sheen as their first base if possible, and we're seeing it firsthand right here, because that Mana Moon's going to get finished, and it's going to be nowhere near completion. Now, Thiago Silva looking to try and give some space and safety to Gura, who's found the Condemn into the wall. Now Snigel goes on forward here. Stormbringer does go wide, and this could be the turn and burn here. TP's come through. Final hour about to elapse, though, so no resets just yet. Now, with the locket coming through, no stuns are found. This is just going to be Vayne running down absolutely everybody. The rest of the teams come through as well. Justice Punch interrupted. Gura finds himself one. The double kill goes to Super Pedro. The Dragon going to be the reward.
I have to say, even if we have this strong Volibear, but like you said, the Volibear nearly picked up a quadra kill in that last fight. If he can't get on the Vayne, it's almost useless. Almost, like, completely useless. The Organized Crisis does pick up this inhib turret, which does crack the base there for Cerlicei, and actually engages on the rise here as well.
The very minimal counterplay right there. You have to predict the flash, and unfortunately, Tegas didn't, and it means that you get one shot.
I can't imagine he ever thought he was going to win that. I think he was just pushing him off the turret and pushing him off the inhib. I can't imagine the 1, 2, and 8 rise ever thought he was going to completely battle out this Urgot. However, we are seeing the Chempunk Chainsaw come in. I'm pretty excited about this one.
That was a stolen away hero's entrance. It's fine. It was going to go on cooldown.
I had a heart attack. I'm not going to lie.
It's one of those things where they steal away paranoia, realize they don't get a chance to call it, and then you just see a random paranoia out of nowhere, and you're like, "Why is Nocturne ulting? There's nothing going on." But it's just the Silas here. Tell me about Chempunk Chainsword.
Chempunk Chainsword out here for the Urgot gives him a little bit of ability haste, a little bit of health, a little bit of attack damage, and obviously built out of the Executioners, which is what I wanted him to buy originally. He is seeing the power of the Silas come through, and also the healing on the Olaf. So actually, like, mixing those together, and also the Blade of the Ruin King picked up on the Vayne as well. So having the Chempunk Chainsword come out for this Urgot is actually huge on the side of Sacramentum.
Oh, but he does have ulti. Is he going to get a chance to even use it here? Yes, it connects, but no, it doesn't do anything. Going to be a trade, though, here, as Tegas now caught out in the mid lane. Exhaust goes down to make sure that he can't turn and one-shot this Ezreal. 1 for 1 so far as the Urgot goes down in exchange for Rise in the mid lane.
We do have these trades, and Urgot trying to find the side lanes here, which I really, really do like. Urgot trying to make his presence known and move into the side lanes and split push a little bit more, because I can't imagine ever getting onto the Vayne. They're trying to avoid her at this stage in the game, I imagine, trying to move around her, like they did with the Baron play when she was bot side, and like they did a second ago with the inhib turret take on the top side when Gura was running down their entire team bot lane.
So with that, we honestly didn't see anything really come from those picks, right? There were a couple of kills, and that was about it. No objectives were taken. No objectives were there to be taken. We're at this point where we're kind of even on Drakes, even on most things, but there's still that slight lead for Cerl so far.
We do have 2 items now completed on Silas and Olaf, though, with the Olaf getting that Caulfield's Warhammer extra. You got the Gore Drinker and the Sterax, pretty standard for Olaf, and then the Everfrost and the Cosmic Drive coming out for Silas. He's going to be fast in these team fights, and he's going to have a lot of CC to use. Vayne, however, really, really looking to tear apart the enemy team with that Rage Knife and Blade of the Ruin King combo going into Gwynsu's.
Now, I'm an ADC, and I'm a big Vayne I'm a Vayne aficionado, if I do say so myself. And to all of you Vayne players out there, don't get debated by Rage Knife and Rage Blade here. Yes, they're very good for killing tanks. Yes, they're very good with the Blade of the Ruin King. But is it better than Infinity Edge? Absolutely not. As a third item, Infinity Edge just hits too hard, and you know I can see the appeal. Believe me, I can. But trust me when I say Infinity Edge is better, and that's it. That's the end of my point. You've got to learn.
Small brain jungler here, learning about the ADC role and ADC itemization here. But I do like the Blade of the Ruin King picked up no matter what, because we do have high health targets on the side of Sacramentum.
Darkweave face checks a brush. He really ought not to have. Uses the flash, the Justice Punch as well. Does get out to safety, but there's a Karma with an Olaf getting absolutely boosted through the jungle right here. Just charging into the face of this Galio. Damage nowhere near present. See, has to flash away using the ulti as well. There goes Mako's flash 2 now. Realm Warp going under the turret. Now, might try and find the pick right here. Snigel turns it right back around and takes his force to flash, but Maiko goes down regardless. The 1v1 down on the bot side as well, and Gura is just absolutely having his way with the Urgot these days. Late game Vayne is far too powerful. And underneath the turret as well, Super Pedro gets an extra shield. It's a 1-4, actually it's a 0-for-4. Absolutely incredible performance from Cerlicei in that fight. They get absolutely everything.
Mantra E on that Olaf. Did you see how fast he ran?
Karma's broken.
I genuinely, I think if I was on the team of Sacramentum, I think I would have just FF'd. As soon as I saw that Olaf run, speed of light, like Usain Bolt through my jungle, I think I just, you know what, guys, I'm going to sit on the fountain for the rest of the game. That thing is too scary.
You're quite right. And Karma is a champion that really enables Olaf, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. If you didn't see it firsthand there, we're probably going to get to see it once more. And this is a fight where Cerlicei haven't even been utilizing their composition to the fullest extent, right? Vayne was out 1v1ing on the bot side of the map. Now Cao Chi looks for the fight, doesn't get the Zenith Blade to connect, and this is honestly their one chance at getting it. We look at the base and we see Gura still just in that fountain. Maybe taking a toilet break, not quite sure what's going on there. The Rage Blade has been picked on up, and this dragon, as consequence, might well go into Sacramentum's back pocket here. It's secured by Maiko, and that's a free objective that really shouldn't have been collected. I struggle to see why why Gwynsu's is actually worth a Drake and Soul Point at that. The option to actually come out earlier and fight that fight might have been a little bit too, I don't know, scary for Gura, I guess. He just kind of sat there and waited for the item rather than fighting for that Soul Point. And now we're going to see Sacramentum actually take the lead on the Dragons here and possibly go for that Ocean Soul as a win con. Oh, Cao Chi caught by an Everfrost here, and Tagus does fire off another little overload, but finally we see Organized Crisis in a little bit of trouble here. Flashes out of the range of that tether. Now the turn and burn potentially coming through here. This is that 5v5 we wanted, but Maiko's already dead here. Super Pedro's taken down one, and Vayne is pogging off in the backside right here. Organized Crisis finds the disdain, but that is it for the success right now for Sacramentum. They're falling like rabbits to the slaughter, and Cole Snaggle, the last one to go. It's a triple for Pedro, it's a double for Gura, and that could well be game.
I will never get over the terminology of pogging off. Absolute slaughter coming out from the Vayne and the Olaf here. 10-1-6 and 10-2-10. Great showing from the side of Cerlicei. If a little bit of a downer in the mid game, honestly, just power through and close this one out. And great played, honestly. I really enjoyed this game.
Vayne into a load of tanks. You can definitely see where Gura was feeling happy to collect that one and pick that one up for themselves, especially with Thiago Silva playing the Karma as well, able to have even more agency with all of those shields, all that movement speed, and that is exactly what they were looking for right there. They got it, they nailed it, and that is going to be the game going back into their favor right now. So a 1-for-1 so far in this series. Here is, of course, a best of 3. And Squiggly, what are your predictions if we had one for game number 3?
I just really, really like this draft out of Cerlicei, and I think they've really improved on all of the things that they fell short on last time. I think the draft was sloppy in the first game, and I think they just tied it together here with a bit of a kite and drag comp. They were expecting Sacramentum to go for the same engage-heavy, just full in-your-face comp, and they really drafted well for it. I really, really liked the Karma coming out. I really liked the Vayne coming out. And I really, really liked the Olaf, actually playing the Olaf here. Super Pedro really, really strong in that Olaf. I think if they can draft similar to how they've drafted this game and actually peel back and play slowly, I think, honestly, I would give it to Cerlicei at this point.
Well, let's wait and see, ladies and gentlemen. We've got one final game left to play, and there's only one thing to do, and that's to wait for that next draft. So we're going to cut it to a quick break here. When we come back, the third and final game between Cerlicei Gaming and Sacramentum continues. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here to the third and final game of the opening week of Valence League here, Season 11, split number 3, Division 3A between Sacramentum and Cerlicei Gaming. Game number 1 was a stomp in favour of Sacramentum, and game number 2 was a stomp in favour of Cerlicei. We've had both ends of the spectrum, and here to take you through all the action with me is going to be Squiggly.
Hello, Rudy. I'm very excited for this third game. Honestly, we've seen a bit of a draft diff come out from that first game into the second game, and I'm really, really excited to see if Cerlicei actually get the draft right in the third game. I'd be very, very interested to see if they oppose for that more peel and disengage comp, and then we'll see something else come out, maybe from the Sacramentum. Maybe they switch their game plan completely and they go from hard engage into a poke comp, and we get some sort of back and forth there.
So we'll get to see here. If we get the best of both teams that we're able to find themselves that compositional advantage, then that's something to keep our eyes on. And something that I want to keep my eye on as well is we've had enough time. There's a chance that Gura, who by all doubts was a standout carry, may actually be sort of switched on back to the sub role, but he's actually going to be picking up in this third game. So once again, all 3 bans going to be missed out by Cerlicei when we do get into that draft. And Sacramentum going to have at least a little bit of an advantage if they want to pick that one.
You have to imagine those 3 bans being missed by the team of Cerlicei are actually hurting them somewhat. But that last game it seemed so dominant, and it seemed so much like they knew exactly what they were doing that I can't imagine those 3 bans even making a difference at this point. Like, maybe we get the full peel comp again, and then we run it back, and maybe Cerlicei take the whole thing.
There's a chance, you have to consider the prospect that you could find Cerlicei once again kind of running away with this one, as Sacramentum going to be waiting to sort of see what they can take away from Cerlicei to dissuade all of that action that they were able to really put down in the second game. So maybe things like the Karma are going to get banned. Maybe we just see a straight ban out of the Volley Bear or something else that was particularly prevalent as we make our way over into the draft. And Sacramentum this time have got blue side, so if they want to leave up a particular OP pick, more than capable of doing so.
Sacramentum on the blue side this time, like you said. Organized Crisis with the first ban. We'll see what comes out from them. If they opt into going for the same bans, it looks like they are. The Xin Zhao, obviously, straight away just cut out. Maybe Super Pedro, big Xin Zhao player. I did look him up beforehand. It does seem he plays a lot of Xin Zhao, Hecarim, and Kayn. So maybe that is what they are worried about. Super Pedro getting a bit of a nerf there, but is Olaf still carrying strong?
And now, I want to wait and see, because we saw Nocturne and Samira as well hit the ban table. They seem very targeted at bans. Nocturne is actually a champion that we are seeing globally at the top level as a very strong champion. So that will hopefully be the sort of second ban that we get to see. But there we are, Squiggly. Some adaptation. Getting rid of Super Pedro's Olaf here for game number 3.
Very scared of that Olaf, as I would be too. The Karma being paired with it. However, if they don't go for that Karma, that third ban, there could be a very quick Karma lock-in on the side of Cerlicei, and we actually might see something else come out in the jungle. Maybe something like Viego, or even the Nocturne that hasn't been banned here.
I'd like to actually see Karma first pick, to be honest, in this instance, right? If you're able to pump out so many shields, so many heals, and pair it up with a really strong powerhouse jungler and a nice hyper carry AD carry, then I would love to see it. I would want to see Karma first picked. You have all the agency in the world here to collect that for yourself. And we did see Karma's sort of prowess in game number 1. I really think that it might have looked like Olaf was the problem, but it was all because of the Karma's enabling.
The Karma pick up here, and they do have 2 picks to choose from as well. The Udyr could be a huge pick for Pedro here. He does play a lot of Hecarim and a lot of Udyr, as far as I know. I did look him up before this game, and unless he's changed in this champion select in the last 2 games, I would assume that we may see an Udyr or a Volley Bear coming out for the side of Cerlicei.
This is not the first pick that we want. We don't want to talk about hovers because they often bait us. It is that Nocturne that gets
fully
locked
baited.
in. I really was. Evelyn is not the first pick of choice. Nocturne locked on in was a champion that had previously been banned, and now with the paranoia coming down, this could well be the start of some more diving.
The heavy engage comp really looking pretty solid for Sacramentum. Maybe it's all they've practiced. Maybe it's just what they know fully. The Nocturne and that Paranoia is going to actually wreak havoc. But there we see it. The Karma first lock-in for the side of Cerlicei. And I'm really hoping they pair this with a fast, aggressive jungler like Udyr.
This is, a bit of a mistake for me. I think that they should have either learned from their mistakes in the past game and taken the Karma, or they would have just picked it up or banned it away, right? Those are the two options here. So giving Karma over to the likes of Tiago, potentially to Tegas or Trip as well, definitely something that I'm a little bit disappointed by. And they pair it up once again with a really good melee jungler. Volibear coming out. So we've seen it previously by Cool Snigel, but this time going to be in Super Pedro's hands.
I was I was so excited. My heart was going for a second there when the Ivan was locked in, or hovered, sorry. And I was very excited just to see how much gold Ivan got off of those Raptors. Where did they get all that gold? Honestly, the Ivan and the Karma here paired up could have been an incredible like peel comp and a nice little shield the ADC. Gura doing work in that last game, and I would have loved to see it. But honestly, Volibear, not really a miss. Honestly, the Karma speed up, the Volibear engage, we could still see that same comp that they played last game, just with an Olaf switched out and a Volibear switched in.
Yeah, and I would really like to see it, to be honest, because it fit their bill quite nicely last time round. This time, though, we do see a Jhin Morgana lock-in, so a very different look for the bot laners, presuming, of course, that this Morgana is going down to that support role. Morgana jungle has significantly fallen off since the little love taps to her more tormented shadows damage to the jungle creeps. And Vladimir locked in. That's the blood demon himself coming through for the side of Cerlicei.
Vladimir, possibly one of my most hate champions in the whole of League of Legends. I'll be completely honest out here. And I think the Vladimir, honestly, one of my most despised champions. I ban him personally in solo queue, even though he's not really that broken compared to stuff like Silas and the Volibear and the Nocturne currently. Vladimir very, very good on these disengage fights though. Actually, with the blood pool and the Karma, I think we could just see some dragged out, disengaged team fights, and also very, very good into Nocturne. There is no way that Nocturne gets that stride breaker off, or Morgana follows up. The Jhin follows up on the Morgana bind if you have Vladimir. However, the Vayne band, the Silas band, and the Shen and the Anivia band coming in, Cerlicei having those kind of runbacks of game one saying, actually, Darkweave's pretty good at Anivia, and then banning that one out, and the Shen also banned out as well for the split push of Organized Crisis. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this Nocturne go top, possibly a TP Ignite lane rather than the Flash. We saw Trip, I think, run Gwen with TP Ignite in the first game, and Nocturne actually just a huge champion for that as well, like locking down, getting the fear on, getting the Q, getting in range of the stride breaker. However, this Riven hover does suggest that Nocturne is instead going to the jungle.
And that is, of course, if this Riven gets locked in. We are waiting to see whether or not that will be the case just yet. There was a Quinn lock-in on the other side, which pretty much wins any form of top lane ranged versus melee matchup, and that is a bold pick, to say the least. Malphite is going to be the lock-in here. You assume that's going up to the top lane. Still a chance for this Nocturne to be flexed into the mid lane here. Not necessarily a jungler, but equally it could go either way. Malphite almost assuredly going to be the top laner of choice here for Organized Crisis. And up against this Quinn, who we're, again, imagining going to be that top laner, that's a rough lane. There's no doubt in my mind that Quinn is going to come out on top.
There's not a lot of people who play Quinn into Malphite, and a lot like the Gwen. If the Malphite gets onto Quinn, there is not a lot she can do. The E timed perfectly would keep Malphite more than arm's length away and actually stall out the fight enough for the Quinn to get a good grasp on the situation. But if Malphite ever finds himself on top of the Quinn, I don't think we see the Quinn win this in any stretch. However, I would more than likely like to see that the Quinn top the Trip actually just pushing this lane in consistently, threatening the Malphite, pushing him at the turret, and then roaming more so to threaten the jungler on the side of Sacramentum.
And the final pick going through is going to be that Ezreal locked in for Gura. So Feeling some poke here going to be needed to try and keep himself at arm's reach. A little bit of a mismatch on the compositions, to be honest here. Looking at Quinn, Vladimir, their sort of MO is quite heavy in terms of diving on in, whereas the Ezreal can sort of fit a bit of a 50-50 brief here. And I wonder what your thoughts are sort of regarding both of these compositions.
So pulling back and looking at what Cerlicei did last game, they had the karma, they had the hard engage, but also the dragged out kind of slow played team fights. They have that again. They've absolutely dominated, in my mind, this lineup on their side with the Quintop and the Ezreal for the poke, the Vladimir for the disengage, and the Karma for the disengage, and then the Volibear as that front line. I really feel like a lot of this game will swing in the balance of top lane. Vel'Koz is going to have quite an easy lane in mid with the poke on Vladimir, unless Vladimir gets under his nose. I can't imagine Darkweeb letting that happen, but if Vladimir gets up close, then Vel'Koz might have a hard time. But other than that, I feel like the Vel'Koz is actually just gonna poke this one out. Organized Crisis in the top lane versus Trip. Honestly, if the Malphite ever gets onto Trip, Trip is going to have a horrible time. And if Nocturne manages to position well with the Paranoia, famously on Nocturne, if you ult onto a Quinn and then manage to position behind the Quinn with the Stride Breaker slow and then getting round the champion, she can actually eat herself into danger. So there is that. If Cool Snigel knows the matchup and knows how to play this, we could actually see some big Malphites this game. I think Quinn may not know what she's in for.
The onus definitely on the early game for Trip to make that advantage stick whilst she's still got it. I think post a couple of items, you're quite right. Organized Crisis might well be able to withstand the power that Trip is trying to put on out. But equally, this is a very strong early game top side for Cerlicei. Quinn and Volibear kind of renowned for their early game prowess here, and up against a Malphite and Nocturne 2 champions that notoriously don't do anything pre-level 6. There's a very distinct window where Cerlicei have the advantage on that top side. Now, that is probably where it ends. The bot side of the map, a little bit different. Ezreal and Vladimir notorious for their scaling. Ezreal, of course, wanting that tier. Vladimir wanting as many items as he can get to be that late game powerhouse. Whereas if we look at it from Sacramentum's perspective, they've got Jhin, a very strong AD carry in the laning phase, and Vel'Koz, who, with very low mana costs, really, is able to pump out quite a lot of damage as well up against the Vladimir. The question becomes, can the Vladimir out-sustain Darkweeb in the mid lane? And I think that this is probably going to be another game where we want to see some anti-healing.
Looking at these drafts again, I honestly, before we go into this champ select, I posed the question of, will Sacramentum go into this game and make a poke comp, make a more sustained damage comp, make it not so Hellful Leather engage, and if it fails, then they suffer. I really feel like they've done it with this comp. I really like the Morgana into the Jhin route, very, very easy to pull off combo, into the Vel'Koz ult for that pick. Also, the poke out of the Vel'Koz, out of the Jhin, out of the Morgana. Honestly, I can't really see a clear deciding winner here in drafts, but I really like what Sacramentum has done, where they've peeled it back a little bit and they've gone, wait a second, this hard engage isn't working into the peel comp. Maybe we let them have the karma, but we draft something a little bit more pokey.
Stripping back a little bit of the compositions, getting down into the basics here for both of the teams. And you heard it here from our beautiful color caster that it's going to come down to the execution for both of these teams. And that's something that we've seen glimpses of struggles for both of the sides, to be honest, be it that there have been top solo kills coming through Crisis time and time again, actually been able to come out on top of Trip. And similarly, the bot laners are getting a little bit caught out time and time again as well. It's at this point that I'll remind myself as well as quickly here to pause at that 10-second mark. We'll wait for the cue for the countdown from British Blaze, who has done a wonderful job running production behind the scenes. And with that, confirm that I'm ready to go at that 10-second marker, and I believe Squiggly should be as well.
Of course.
So I'll wait for the little birdie in my ear, and hopefully we will be good to go here. And with that, we are ready to go. Who will the series, ladies and gentlemen? Get your predictions in the channel points right now. Currently, looking like it's going to be somewhat favoured toward our blue side right here. So we'll have to wait and see if that one gets switched right back round on its head. Sacramentum going to be looking to do you guys proud, whereas Cerlicei are going to be looking to do the opposite and make you rue the day that you bet your channel points against them.
I'm so excited, and I'm so grateful that this came down to a third and final game here. The 1-1, you know, really seeing the turn on from Cerlicei and the actual like combo and the kind of the driven, you know, peel comp there, and getting their act together in the second game, and really then finding a hole for this third game out of nowhere after we thought that Sacramentum may just take it home, and the Cerlicei versus Sacramentum series actually looking very promising in this third game. I think from the team comp perspective, I'm very excited to see what this Nocturne does, what this Volibear does on the side of Cerlicei, and whether Pedro can stand up to Cool Snigel's Volibear play throughout the series.
Yeah, because Snigel had been dominating a lot on this Volibear, definitely very proficient on that pick. This time, selected the Nocturne, right? First pick for Sacramentum here, so a lot of pressure on Snigel's head, because if he picks this up and doesn't have that same performance, then begin to question, why didn't we just see the Volibear for the third game in a row?
I would love to see a bit of vertical jungling right here. It doesn't look like we're going to see it. I think Nocturne's moving down to his Krugs now, but I would have loved to see the vertical jungle switch coming out as we had that award on the blue from Volibear there, like being spotted that he was indeed starting his red. Unfortunately, we do see the counter ward come down on the same blue, and Nocturne actually going to start this game with less vision on him than Pedro on him.
So, you know, slight early advantage then going the way of Sacramentum just by basis of knowing where the jungler has started and will be pathing to. Level 2's come through for the bot laners, not really any engaged potential from these two supports all that present. You know, Morgana Jhin do have the opportunity to try and find a bit of a route if they so look for it. You know, you can see there, Tormented Shadow, potential for a Deadly Flourish off of that is fairly high, but it looks like we're not seeing it just yet. And you need to see Meiko and Kauchi refrain a little bit here. These Tormented Shadows are pushing the wave, the Dancing Grenades as well, pushing. And we are going to see Super Pedro down in the spot side for a little bit here. So once again, need to be a little bit cognizant of that.
I am very happy that Nocturne started bot side here. The Snigel start on the red buff. Unfortunately, doing a full clear. I think the full clear is genuinely just so that he gets that level 6 earlier. He's going off his ulti, off the paranoia, and actually giving him a little bit more tension in this game. As soon as he hits 6, Cerlicei need to be very careful of where he is going. However, I would have loved to see the level 5, the 5 camp to the top side, maybe skipping the Krugs, going through, getting Gromp, and actually moving up and getting that early gank on the Quinn, who is obviously going to be shoved in that lane.
Nice arcane shift forward here. And Gura pumping out a fair whack of damage here. Maeka forced to use the heal, but that might not be enough as the auto attack goes onto the wrong target there. Gura now exhausted. Up, there goes the black shield. Root comes through, the bind as well. One more auto should do it. Gura goes down for first blood and Maeko gets it.
Gura maybe going a little bit too aggressive there. Honestly, the E into the face of Meiko saying, "Who's this? I'm boss around here," but then getting just taken down by the Morgana Q, just absolutely just not behind minions, not really any sort of respect going out for Morgana Root. After all, she is the one champion in the game that you get reported for AFK as soon as you get rooted by.
That Morgana bind, very questionable in its hitbox, very lethal in its capabilities here. Dark Weave already burned the flash in the mid lane. The repeat gang from Pedro does cost him more than his health bar he's been getting back, and now Maeko once again down on the spot side. Gets another Dark Harvest proc, so, I mean, that's a win in his book.
Meiko's going to be making this lane hell if it continues in this fashion. I think we could see some fourth shot absolute brutality come out on the bot lane soon if that is the case. I really would love to see Nocturne move back towards this top side, though, and actually get this first gank off on the Quinn, getting the Organized Crisis back into this lane. However, honestly, Trip hasn't actually had the agency that we thought he would in this lane. In fact, he's down on health to the Malphite. They both still have TP up. And in fact, Quinn hasn't actually made any moves that we expected from the early game. I can't imagine moving into the late game now that we will see anything from this Quinn if there is no lead actually brought out.
And I think that as much as we said level 6 is when Sacramentum have a little bit of a power spike for themselves, it's also when we should expect to see Cerlicei come alive. If they can find a dive on that top laner, you know, with the Volibear Stormbringer to turn off that turret, find themselves a bit of a lead through that route, that's about the only way I can see it happening here, because you're quite right, Trip really hasn't had the best of time forcing Malphite down. Yes, he's lower on, or yes, he's increased his CS than the Malphite, but that is nothing really that you aren't anticipating here. This is the sort of Jace effect where if you're even with a Quinn, then you're ahead of the Quinn.
Oh, 100%, 100%. That Quinn's going to have a real struggle late game if she doesn't manage to get that agency in the lane and then a bit of an invade going on the Nocturne as well. The way you play this champion top lane in solo queue at least is just bully the jungler. And as a jungler myself, I hate it. I hate it so much because I could be doing my blue buff on second rotation and Quinn will just be there. She'll be there. And if she goes full lethality, who knows? Maybe you get one shot, depending on if she's bullied her lane or not. But the actual lack of bullying coming out and Malphite actually being up on CS as well just proves that this Malphite's not really worried. I don't think Organized Crisis really cares about the Quinn. And I feel like into the late game, she's going to really struggle.
You're quite right. This is exactly the situation that we have at hand. Noon Quiver comes on out, suggesting that we're potentially going to see a Kraken Slayer. It's definitely not lethality, which, to be honest, I'm quite glad about up against a Malphite. More consistent DPS going to be the answer. But getting to level 6 unscathed means that Quinn doesn't have to burn her teleport, means that Trip is able to go back to top lane, just uses the behind enemy lines to collect a nice movement speed boost back into the top side, where Organized Crisis isn't going to have the exact same agency in that manner now.
I hate this Dragon start. I hate it. I have so little. There seems like so little respect for this Dragon start. There is no Vladimir in the mid lane, which means he has to force his TP then to join this fight in the bot lane. That he had no prio. They had no reason starting this up.
And you know, you're seeing quite why that Dragon start was so brazen and quite uninformed right there, because it gets called off near instantly. You know, Darkweeb forces them away right here. He's had a pretty decent time of mid lane as well, up in CS, despite the 2 ganks that did come through for them. We haven't really seen too much of that mid lane outside of Super Pedro ganking it and forcing the flash, but with a CS lead in the mid lane here, Vel'Koz definitely looking fairly strong, and particularly with a nice XP lead as well.
With that startup of the Dragon there, you just gave Nocturne that little bit of extra time that he needed. Having the 55 CS up to the 43 on the Volibear and just power farming his way to 6 and beyond by the looks of things. He's going to be looking for these paranoias all over the map, and Volibear is very soon going to find himself in a pickle. Honestly, the startup from that Dragon was honestly so heartbreaking for me that because of the lack of prio from mid, and now we're going to see a Nocturne shine.
Level 6 has come through for Snigel. This is where Nocturne starts to come online. That first paranoia, incredibly important. If you find a kill, a flash, or something to get an advantage from, then you call it a success. You deem it worthwhile that you've been a pretty much non-factor for the entirety of the laning phase thus far. Darkweeb, he's looking for an all-in here, gets the knock-up, but unfortunately Vladimir does have pool, and also has flash as well, just in case. Now, they still don't have mid lane priority Squiggly, but this time they've got bot lane priority to go alongside it.
I just don't see it ever working out. This should never work. And if it does work, it's the incompetence on the blue side.
There we go, stolen away, and the curtain call comes through. Super Pedro falls for his issues. And he's going to pay the ultimate price.
Greedy. It's just so greedy, and to be honest, Volibear now completely inting his clear, sees that as his only option, I would imagine, because of the absolute lack of pressure they had over that Dragon, having to force that out because of the amount of clear that he'd missed out on the top side. He felt like he had to commit, and then obviously Sacramentum just cleaned that one up.
You know, really nice presence of mind from Darkweeb to recognize, hey, I forced out mid lane, I'm free to roam. Comes down, stops the Dragon, gets it as well for the team. So thus far, 2 kills onto Mayako is a very strong Jhin in this game, and definitely getting off to the races fairly well here. Now, I have to look at Gora's build and sort of say why a little bit here. Divine Sunderer is an incredibly broken item. Tear of the Goddess as well on an Ezreal. An incredibly broken item, and neither one of those are ones that we're seeing come through for the Ezreal this time round.
Seems to be an Essence Reaver.
Yes.
He maybe living in the past here. Gura opting for the Essence Reaver first. Maybe he's not much of an Ezreal player, but Divine Sunderer is just so broken. Still strong on this patch. Even in the case of non-Divine Sunderer, and you just really want to play aggressively, I don't see a reason why they wouldn't then go lethality instead.
And now, and so you may be looking at it and going, well, Divine Sunderer got nerfed on ranged champions, but the way I like to think about it is, if you recall a patch ago, Squiggly, Ezreal was insanely giga broken bonkers, right? Many solo queue issues with that champion, yep. And now, with the nerf that came through, you took 3% off the Divine Sunderer proc. That didn't remove Ezreal from the meta. That didn't put him down in the dumps. All that did was put him back in line with the other S-tier AD carries. And, you know, removing the Divine Sunderer from the build puts him back to that stage about 4 or 5 patches ago, where no people were touching Ezreal with a 10-foot barge pole.
100%. I really agree here as we see the Super Pedro come in for this gank on the mid lane.
Ooh, double flash once again here. Expended Super Pedro looking for the stun storm. Bring it under the turret. Darkweave now going to fall. Surely. Barrier popped here, but the Hemo Plague is there. Paranoia comes through to try and stop this play. A little bit too late, but maybe able to find a response. Spell Shield doesn't quite find anything off the stun right there. And now another one on the chopping block. Tegas forces out his own flash. We see Nocturne find himself 1 kill. That first Paranoia, maybe a little bit later than we anticipated, but does come through.
Yeah, I can't help but think, Snigel, if he'd actually just gone for that early...
Carry on.
If he'd gone for that earlier, maybe Darkweave would have survived there and they'd managed to pick up 2 instead of just 1. But obviously then Organized Crisis coming down and abusing the fact that Vladimir doesn't have that flash and no pool available to him.
And if we look at the scoreboards here, and sort of look at the top side exclusively, the fact that we have Quinn versus Malphite, Quinn is even in level with the Malphite, up 10 CS, yes, but the Malphite has a kill. That's not how this top lane should be working.
No, especially not when Malphite has roamed before the Quinn. I just feel like Trip is missing the mark here and actually confused about how he's supposed to be playing the champion.
You see him now lurking around that mid lane, but fortunately enough, there's nobody in there for Sacramentum. Darkweave is clearing vision on the bot side of the mid lane, so again, be it timing, be it otherwise, finding his way to safety. Now, Organized Crisis, whacking away, secures himself a play, is level 10 to the level 9 here, and does have Steel Caps plus Bramble Vest. This 1v1 might well be in his favour. Fortunately enough for Cerlicei here, it is not 1 versus 1. Super Pedro is here. Trip might well go down anyway, and with a very slim margin of health, he does manage to stay alive. Super Pedro really being the X factor right there to turn that fight back into Cerlicei's favour.
Yeah, Malphite actually missing the E there. Trip would have gone down there had he hit it just a slight bit later. However, Malphite, Organized Crisis on the top side here, you can't push that far up without the Malphite ult. There's no sort of insurance there with the TP or anything, and having used the ult previously in the mid lane to pick up that Vladimir kill, there is no way you should be pushing that far without vision on Quinn.
Pays the ultimate price then for it. We are seeing that, well, okay, potential for the solo kill right here in the mid lane, but Darkweave able to abuse this Vel'Koz's range advantage over the Vladimir, so much so that the Vlad is really not having a good time. Down 20 CS, and now here comes that roam that you were looking for here, Squiggly. Trip looking for the engage, doesn't find it, and unfortunately, you know, another spent roam that doesn't really find anything. The near side actually doing just enough to maybe delay the damage coming on through. Curtain Call opens up here. Paranoia is going to finish off the job. Thank you very much. Curtain Call point 4 hits onto the Vladimir. One more auto will do it. That's a double kill for Snigel.
That is just the pull that we were looking for. Like the Nocturne chains onto the Vladimir just there. Even if you pull, you're still getting feared. You're not getting out of here alive. Just the slap from the Nocturne secures that one. And then Karma looking to do something on the bot lane. But Mako's 2 levels up.
Mantra Q goes wide, and that's going to be a lot of damage missed out on regardless. Now Cauchy just going to open up with the Soul Shackles there, forces Gura's flash, but this still could go in the back pocket here for Gura. Exhaust down onto Mako, forces his flash out to safety. Now it's a 4v2. Now Gura doesn't stand a chance. The Arcane Shift dodges out on some good cooldowns, and there's a shield there that actually brings him back to life for just a little bit longer. Jago Silva finds himself that he is feared, and Steigl might well be looking to find this kill on the Karma. Will he get it? Because the rest of his team have fallen down. It's a 2-for-4 down in the bot side. And Cerlicei turn it back in their favour.
Ragus just standing in that turret range, just tanking that turret just in case Nocturne needed to go over was beautiful play there. I really enjoyed that from the Vladimir. And actually just leaving the Jhin alive that long. I was very surprised that they couldn't get the kill on either the Jhin or the Ezreal. They survived for so long, and the ADCs are really making a difference in that team fight. Dark Weave actually following up, and the Ezreal managing to get the E off just before the Q hit. The reactivation of the Q was just way too late, and Darkweave didn't get the damage down on Gura before it was too late.
There was a top lane turret traded back after all of that, despite, you know, the double TPs that come through. It is a trade of turrets, granted, you know, first brick handily going across towards Cerlicei, so they're going to be quite happy with the gold that they're able to get from that. But it doesn't change the state of the game all that much. It sort of makes it a little bit closer. But there's still a little bit of a lead here for Sacramentum. This Vel'Koz is still actually very scary, despite what could be construed as a fairly lackluster scoreline. You know, looking across the majority of the scores, actually, they all look pretty good across the board, really. So Cerlicei definitely needing to maybe just step it up a little bit more so here. And the poke from a Vel'Koz with the Jhin combining could very be lethal. And now that's exactly what we're going to see. Curtain Call comes through, and finally we get to see some sort of tanking come through. Trip, that is not your position, my good sir. And this, oh my word.
We talked about it in Chab Select. We knew as soon as that Morgana Q hits, the W from the Jhin follows up, the little snare on the Morgana Q, just making it just that little bit closer.
Another time here, stepping just a bit too far forward, forces out the Paranoia, and the pool in response there goes another Deadly Flourish into Gura, and I tell you what here, Squiggly, Cerlicei are living on blinking health bars.
Oh, they are, but they're playing it so well, just to claw back what they can. As it stands, Sacramentum's team comp is just too good at what they're doing right now, which is sieging, poking, picking, and getting those beautiful Morgana Qs into Vel'Koz ult.
It's a lethal combination right here, and it has been proven time and time again, even with Steigl just sort of lurking on the wings, being able to find nice little pickoffs with the Paranoia as well. There have been multiple instances now where we're seeing this mid lane siege come through and then kills seemingly spawn out of nowhere, and that's the power of Morgana. One single bind just does all the work.
I just can't see the disrespect on the side of Trip here with the Berserker's Greaves coming in instead of the Mercury Treads. I can't see whether that ever works out for you. Yes, it gives you a bit of attack speed, but can't we delay that item to just say that we're not going to get killed as soon as we get Morgana queued? Like, just a little bit. I would just love just a little bit of magic resist and a little bit of tenacity on that side.
Oh, we're going to get a little bit of magic damage here this time round. Tagus going for the 1v4 dive right there. True damage does get procced from the Lifeform Disintegration Ray, but Trip has enough health with the shielding from Karma to be able to kite out that one. Just about enough right here, and you know, the ability haste of the Vel'Koz is not present at all, but still finding enough. And there we go, onto the trap, onto the Paranoia. Ayako finds the kill there. Lovely stuff for a captive audience.
Just a slow on the Jhin trap into the Nocturne ult. Just as Trip thought he'd collected enough fruit to be A-okay in this lane, just for a little bit longer, just gets taken out there.
I was absolutely blind here. Now Stormbreaker over the wall does corral them toward Gura, who is a little bit separated from the rest of the team, but that simply doesn't matter here, as the one person that's already gone down was the engager of it all. This Vel'Koz dishing out damage left, right, and center. TP in from Crisis just to seal the deal. It's an ace going to Sacramentum.
The single target Malphite ult just organized Crisis directly onto Tagus' head. Honestly, huge. Oh my days. And Trip still struggling to find a target with this Quinn. Honestly, I feel like this was just an awkward pick for them.
Quinn, you feel like probably a better side laner, especially with Kraken Slayer as well, would be maybe able to deal with the Malphite here. And now Trip trying to find the 1v1 up against Snigel. Nice dodge out there, uses the E to buy some space, and does find himself in a little bit of trouble as the Flash Seismic Shard comes through from Crisis to finish that job off. But Again, 1 for 1, this time in favour of Cerlicei here, because they get that 500 gold shutdown from the Nocturne.
I've said it a few times, I'll say it again, I don't think Trimp actually knows how to play this champion in this meta. Honestly, seeing the Quinn in the side lane would be just so much better. Seeing these random run-ins and die, seeing the ganks come out earlier than what they did would have been perfect. The amount of like pressure that Organized Crisis could have had on his head, but just didn't. However, on the back of that, on the back of that, Cerlicei does pick up a Drake, their first Drake of the game, their first Ocean, and actually, Sacramentum looking for a few minutes now before they get on that soul point mark.
Yeah, and that was off of Trip's pick onto Snigel right there. You have to imagine that if the Nocturne is alive, that Sacramentum definitely look to try and contest that dragon, put themselves to soul point. We're sort of seeing probably, I dare say, the closest game here. Not to say that it's still any means close. It's just that both the games previously have felt so one-sided to a certain point that we've kind of known what was going to be the case, but I still feel like there's this element of doubt, this sort of shrouded mystery around what this Vladimir can accomplish, because 2-3-1, not necessarily the best scoreline by any means, but you're still playing Vladimir. If you get to the late game, you're still terrifying.
I do know exactly what Vladimir does late game. I've experienced it way too many times in solo queue, and honestly, I'm not excited. I'm excited for the side of Cerlicei. I'm not excited so much for Sacramentum. The Nocturne Paranoia, obviously useless as long as Vladimir has his pull up, and as long as he can play that slow and respectful with the Karma shields. I really feel like Vladimir even has a chance of solo carrying this game.
Cosmic Drive going to be looking like the second item of choice for Tegus, so looking like that is the sort of route avenue that he's going for his build path here. And now on this top side, this is not the duo that I would like to see trying to take down a Malphite. It's going to be a slow burn, and in the meantime, Quinn down on the bot side, going to fall, Trip goes down, and we're still seeing Crisis getting wailed on up on this top side. Stun number 2 going to come through, Tether number 2 going to follow up, and might be slowly here. And the actual unstoppable force comes through, and he makes it out to safety now. And now, do they go to the Baron here?
Can we announce it yet? Can we say top diff? Can we give that one a... Is that allowed?
We get a ruling.
We need somebody in here just to check the rules real quick. Trip really just having a struggle in this lane now. Really, like, he is taking it this hard, and he will continue to take it this hard. This Baron, obviously not it. We've already got Mako and Couchy looking for this. Seems like a desperation play almost.
Gura does dash in and do a fair amount of damage. Couchy going to be forced to flash the Gale Force into the face of the Ezreal right there. Now this curtain call, yes, you're the volley there, yes, you're supposed to be the tank, but I don't think that's going to be enough right here. Double kill comes through for the Jhin, who's now tanking the Baron. Does need to be careful of that one. But look at that bot side of the map right there, just being torn asunder by the team, and now Maeko almost falls, almost goes down, and actually flashes into Super Pedro, finds the rapid fire cannon, 4th shot crit, takes him down as well. Bot side, Snigel and Darkweave have just been pushing themselves all lane long, and now Tegus trying to deal with this 1 versus 2 here, throws down the Hemo Plague for good measure, pulls out as well, but this gives a window now for potentially another inhibitor turret to fall.
Tegus really feeling like he's in elo hell here right now. This Vladimir trying to just stall out and carry this game when his teammates are honestly doing the opposite. I feel as though he can carry this game still, but it's going to be a lot harder on his shoulders. I'm not sure he's got the back for it. And honestly, the lack of prominence in the top side just means this Malphite already has 3 kills. He already has that sweet chem tank already built. The Bramble Vest is there, and the Nocturne is just going to keep ulting on top of Trip's head. I don't think this Quinn should have a second to breathe.
Stormrazor comes through as the second item, so we finally got a little bit more AD to back up the crit and attack speed being picked up thus far. Looks like an ADC handoff here, looking for a bit of a scrap around the red buff, but it's Crisis here who's once again found himself in a bit of a predicament. 1 versus 3 this time round. Trip comes through with the nice little vision toggle, to take the Malphite to at least within an inch of his life right here. Trip looking to finish off the job right here behind enemy lines, charging now toward the turret, and the Paranoia might just be enough to deny the vision. Never mind, that red buff does dish out enough damage. Now Mayako looking for Thiago Silva in the front lines, but never mind, there's a Vladimir in their back lines right here. Tegas could have kept on going forward right there, instead backs away. Mayako finds that he is dominating after a kill onto Gura. Snigel must have DC'd, is unfortunately not in the vicinity, but that oh my word, Vel'Koz's ulti has just destroyed them here. The fear as well takes down the Vlad. Trip does dodge over the tectonic disruption, but fortunately Mayoku's there with a slamming auto attack to take the ace.
Just a huge and decisive team fight from Sacramentum, as you'd expect, as they're this far ahead in the game. They're now 10k gold lead up in this, and that is enough to obviously shove this one out very, very quickly. I can't imagine Cerlicei actually get back into this one now. We saw the Vladimir damage in that last fight, and we saw what we were expecting from him, but honestly, it's just not enough at this point in the game.
It was so close to looking so incredibly powerful for the Vladimir right there, but I kind of got confused because Tegas was in the middle of all three of them and then ran away. And I'm not sure quite why that was the case, because I think that he could have done some serious work right there. You know, he's looking to be that backline access target to take down this Jhin, because, you know, realistically, nobody else is really succeeding in that venture just yet.
I would have really liked to see a stopwatch come out of Tegas. I don't think we've seen one so far, if I'm not mistaken, and the lack of stopwatch here in these fights just absolutely crushes his damage numbers. There can be a re-engage, there can be an engage, a damage, you know, a cycle of abilities, and then the stopwatch coming out, and that would be so much more useful than buying this Kindle gem. We are still going into this Cosmic Drive kind of meta where Vladimir wants to be on the backline, and he wants to be incredibly speedy, and he wants to do the damage as he can.
Crisis is looking for an engage here, finds the solo target onto Gura, who is now followed up on by a Paranoia. Strike Breaker is going to be enough of a slow to take him down. Thiago Silva, the next target up on the chopping block, and Trip, he's found a kill. It's onto the support. It's not the target they would want right now, and that is going to be a 3-for-1 with Baron on the table. Sacramentum turn their faces to that.
Yeah, you have to believe that if the Kindred Gem wasn't there and we had that stopwatch, we would actually get a little bit more out of this Vladimir. Tegas, I feel like he could have done so much more work. Another cycle of abilities here, especially in the fight beforehand, might have done a little bit more work. But now he's finished that Cosmic Drive, so maybe we look for a little bit more of damage and a speedy engage.
Super Pedro, though, does still have the ulti, still has the smite as well. This is a 50-50 in the pit right here. But the turn and burn comes through. Volibear goes down before there's even a chance to smite it out. Trip goes down as well, just for good measure. Solidarity in top lane inting.
I can't help but the organized crisis flash over the wall into the face of Super Pedro. It probably made him panic a little bit more, thinking, oh god, it's go time. Misses the smite opportunity by probably about 1,000 health there. Unfortunately, just not stealable.
This is the fake Silas Paranoia right here, because the ultis and does absolutely nothing with it. Maybe just trying to force them off the turret whilst they try and break this tier 2. As a 2-man band might add up against 3 members here of fairly lethal damage dealers. But Shirley's popped here, trying to go for this fight. They're looking for Snigel out of both of the targets. Wise target selection to begin with, but they simply don't have the damage. Dustbringer is enough to just give enough space there and give enough movement speed over to the Nocturne to break away.
Just the disengage of the Malphite slow is enough to bring that one back to earth a little bit. You know, head in the clouds there a little bit for Tegas. They're really expecting a lot out of that, but not really. We look like we got some Super Pedro trolling as well coming through. And then, like we were saying earlier, the lethality build for Ezreal is that second choice, and we do see the Duskblade come out after the Essence Reaver, but it's still not good enough. It doesn't do anything in this game unless you have a lead.
Oh, and then, you know, Duskblade passive relies exclusively on resets, something that they've not been getting. Organized Crisis turns it right back around and almost takes down Trip. He might go down anyway, and he does to the minions. The big minions come on through. 1-for-1 in the top lane.
You'll love to see that cannon minion just absolutely pounding there. Great turn from Organized Crisis and actually just getting that ulti inside the wave.
Oh, and that's just a quick pick right there. Really good captive audiences so far this game by Mayako. Has been able to consistently find picks, find kills, and find those deadly flourishes to seal the deal. Tegas now rushes in, but he's already forced to pull. Might not be able to get the healing and doesn't here. That's one quickly picked up. Vladimir goes down. The lack of stasis really costing him here, and As Volibear trying to maybe find a flank on the backside. Another deadly flourish connects. The Dustbringer comes out. Gura flashes away from Meiko's flash, actually. So he's now very, very low, but just opens up the curtain call in the phase of the Volibear. Flash Stormbringer comes through, frenzying that to take the 1,000 gold shutdown. But the Nexus is exposed. The base is over. And game number 3 should surely now go to Sacramentum. Fighting on their last legs, though. Here comes Gura. Trying to do enough. Can he find the damage with Organized Crisis wailing away at it? It's Couchy that gets the final hit. It's Sacramentum that take the series.
Beautiful.
What a series, eh? That was insane.
What a series. We did see some very, very one-sided games coming out there. That Sacramentum ending there. Meiko actually just shining through. We saw Gura shining through in the game before, and Meiko actually just stepping up and saying, wait, this is what ADCs do. I should be doing this as well. And actually just putting Gura in the dirt a little bit here. The 13, 2, and 10 scoreline there. And actually drafting a little bit better on the side of Sacramentum. Not so all-in, not so one-shot heavy. And instead just dialing it back, going, wait, we can engage, but we don't have to be in their faces the entire time. We can drop those Morgana Qs, and we can actually just drag it out with the Vel'Koz ult.
A very well-played game. Getting those picks, playing around their cooldowns as well was a really important factor of this team composition, something that they did pretty well here. We are going to get to have an interview here with one of the Sacramentum players, but while we get that sorted on out here, Squiggly, I'm looking for your closing thoughts on the series. There's a bit of an introduction here to competitive in Europe. What did you think?
I loved the series. Very, very blood heavy, very aggressive. I like it. Keep doing it. Maybe tying up the builds just a little bit. there was a few awkward builds in there that I just didn't agree with, and honestly should never be used. And maybe just tying it up just a little bit. I really, really liked that the comps were trialed and tested and brought back to the drawing board actually after we had a loss. Both teams changed their comps around the enemy, which was really, really impressive to see. There was the fully engaged from Sacramentum, and then we had Cerlicei's change it up and bring back a bit of more of a peel comp, and then that came through for them really, really big. And then Sacramentum changed it up again, and they said, wait, we can engage, but not quite so heavy, and we can actually win this through.
Yeah, I love to see it when series metas evolve, right? And it's so infrequent that we get them in such just a best of 3, because typically you can just run one comp and try and find that as your cheese strategy to winning. But it was good to see the adaptation on both sides time and time again, from game 1 to game 2, and then from game 2 to game 3, giving Sacramentum the win overall, putting them into a pretty decent spot here to not only doing that, but just take the series as well. And I believe who we are going to get here, Organized Crisis, the top laner for Sacramentum, should be joining us here in just a couple of minutes. Here we go. Organized Crisis, welcome. Congratulations, first of all. How are you feeling?
Feeling good, yeah.
Now, I'm going to open up proceedings here with this question that I quite like to ask to teams when there has been a loss. How did you guys feel after game number 2? Who was for me, I want to know who was the sort of rallying voice behind you guys, saying, hey, you know what, we've just taken a game down, but we're still better. We can still beat those guys.
I think everyone on the team agreed that our draft was not the best draft, and it was a little bit difficult to execute. So we decided to go back to the basics, have hard engage, easy team fight comp, and that worked.
Talking of drafts, I really, really enjoyed actually the way you pulled it through for game 3 and actually just dialed it back just a little bit. You had the really, really hard engage, right? Game 1, game 2, you got peeled a little bit in game 2, and then you kind of dialed it back into this Morgana, Jhin, kind of like Vel'Koz one-shotty kind of thing. The Vladimir obviously a good pick, but it wasn't executed well. And then as soon as those Morgana Qs down, I just absolutely loved the way you were all on board with that.
Yeah. No, it's game 3. I feel we played very well together. Everyone did a good job. Everyone did what they had to do.
I have to ask you a personal question as well. Were you scared of the Quinn?
No, not really. Whenever they locked in Quinn, I yelled, pick me Malphite, pick me Malphite, pick me Malphite. So
huge.
It's the pre-level 6, it's a little bit of a difficult lane, but you just try to freeze it, grab what farm you can take, and he didn't really try to push any lead early game, so I was equal with him on farm and XP. So after that, it's just,
we did see that, yeah, and he kind of failed to kind of roam as much. We actually saw the first roam come out from you with the ult mid lane picking up that Vladimir kill.
Yeah,
beautiful roam down. Well done, man.
Thank you.
And final question then here, I guess. What are the goals? What are the aspirations here for Sacramentum? Obviously, we're only in week number 1, but where do you guys see yourself going in Division 3 and in split number 3 of VL?
I think the logical goal would be to win Div 3, because first split we won Div 4, right? And then our first split in Div 3, which was last split, we lost in semifinals in playoffs. And now we have a stronger roster, I would say. A little bit more on the same page, at least. So I would be disappointed if we don't go far in the playoffs, at least. And the goal is to win it.
Well, thank you very much, Organised Crisis. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Sacramentum searching for the crown of split number 3 here. And with that, we are going to round out our broadcast here on the Valence League Twitch channel. I want to thank not only Organised Crisis for joining us on the desk, but Squiggly as well for being a beautiful casting partner. Have you got any parting words for us, Squiggly?
Hey, just thank you for having me, and thank you for being here with me, Rude.
And of course, thank you to British Blaze working the desk and working the production as well, making us look nice and pretty on air, despite a couple of little production mishaps. But from everybody here at Valence League, thank you very much and have a good night.